Lin Wanchio's eyes flew open, and the scene before her struck her with heart-stopping clarity. Opposite her, Cheng Jixia was bending down to braid the end of her hair with a red cord. Sunlight streamed through the train window, casting a blurry patch of light over the top of her head. Further back, two young men chattered excitedly about Qinghe County. The metal door at the carriage connection banged in the wind. Cold air carrying coal smoke gusted inside, stinging everyone's noses red. What made her throat tighten most was the faint chill against her collar. Instinctively, she raised a hand to press the second button of her blouse. Through the well-worn fabric, her fingertips brushed a smooth red cord. A jade ring tied to its end rested against her collarbone, cold as a stone steeped in ice-cold water. "Wanchio, you're awake at last." Cheng Jixia looked up at her, genuine concern in her eyes. "You were shivering in your sleep. Did you have a nightmare? I called you 3 times and you didn't stir." Lin Wanchio parted her lips. Her throat felt scraped raw, and no sound came out. She could only shake her head hard, her gaze drifting involuntarily toward the window. This was early spring, 1974. She was crammed into this greenskin train with many other educated youths, bound for Shenyang Production Brigade in Qinghe County, yet why was she haunted by so many bizarre visions? "Is your head throbbing badly?" Seeing how pale Lin Wanchio was, Cheng Jixia leaned closer and pulled an oil paper packet out of her canvas bag. "My mom packed mixed grain steamed buns for me. Have a bite to eat. Man cannot live without food. How will you endure the journey without strength?" Lin Wanchio's eyes fell on the golden-hued buns, and her stomach churned violently. In those visions of a place called modernity, supermarket shelves were lined with fancy-wrapped biscuits, their cloying cream fragrance drifting halfway down the street. But now, staring at the mixed grain buns, she felt as if she were looking at something that spelled doom. "I'm fine, Jixia." She finally found her voice, rough as rusted iron. "Let me rest a while longer. I have no appetite." She closed her eyes again, pressing her forehead against the cold windowpane. Chaotic images surged forth once more, engulfing her like breached floodwaters. These were no ordinary dreams. It was as though a book had been forced into her mind, its pages filled with her own blood and tears. The book said the jade ring around her neck was no ordinary family heirloom. On the night her mother gave it to her, kerosene lamplight flickered over the white hairs at her temples. Her mother's hands trembled. She wrapped the red cord 3 times around Lin Wanchio's neck before tying it tight, her thumb repeatedly tracing the faint cloud pattern carved into the ring. "This is our family's protective talisman, passed down from grandmother to me, and now to you. Remember, do not let outsiders see it unless you have no other choice." At the time, she had only wept, taking her mother's words as ordinary caution for troubled times. It was not until they reached the dormitory for educated youths, with its shared wooden bunks, that Cheng Jixia pretended to tuck loose strands of hair behind Lin Wanchio's ear and caught sight of the red cord peeking out from her collar. "Wanchio, what are you wearing around your neck?" Cheng Jixia's eyes lit up. Her fingertips lightly tugged at the red cord, her tone brimming with well-rehearsed curiosity. "It looks so special. May I have a look?" Just one glance. Cheng Jixia was always like this. Her manner made it nearly impossible to refuse her. To be favored with Cheng Jixia's friendship had once filled Lin Wanchio with flattered delight. Dazed, she untied the red cord. The jade ring lay in Cheng Jixia's palm. Its dark green surface glowed softly under the kerosene lamp. Cheng Jixia turned it over and over in her hands, then looked up with a smile. "It's beautiful. Let me borrow it for a couple of days, won't you? My mother once owned a jade bracelet, but it was lost long ago. I want to know what it feels like to wear jade." But a fine prick of hesitation stung Lin Wanchio's nerves. "Just 2 days." Cheng Jixia slipped the ring onto her own ring finger and wiggled her hand, her smile honey-sweet. "I will give it back to you for sure. I promise I won't go back on my word." In the end, Lin Wanchio nodded. Yet the ring seemed to grow onto Cheng Jixia's finger. It never returned to its original owner. At first, Cheng Jixia claimed, "I got it dirty working, so I'm going to wash it." Later she said, "My mother wrote asking me to send it home for her to see." After that, she never mentioned it again. Lin Wanchio summoned her courage to ask for it back once. Cheng Jixia's eyes instantly reddened, and tears streamed down her cheeks. "Wanchio, how could you think such a thing of me? I simply thought the ring suited me well. Is wearing it for a few days really so terrible?" The stares of the other educated youths pricked into Lin Wanchio like needles. Panic overwhelmed her, and she never dared bring up the ring again. Only much later did she learn the earth-shattering secret hidden inside the Jade Ring. It contained a square-shaped spatial realm. On either side of the space stood two carved wooden doors. One led to the 1970s where she lived, and the other opened onto that world called modernity. The book described it in detail. Beyond that second door lay large houses tiled with ceramic, refrigerators that made their own cold, and small devices capable of storing hundreds of books. Most importantly, one could buy things unavailable in this era: snow white wheat flour, Western-style medicine for illnesses, and even ointments that speeded wound healing. Wild herbs from the 1970s fetched astonishing prices there. Chang Jixia used these two doors to turn her life into a constant streak of good fortune. Lin Wanqiu squeezed her eyes shut, her fingernails digging deep into her palms. She recalled the scenes from the visions: Chang Jixia slipping into the back hills under cover of night, filling a basket with shepherd's purse, then trading it through the door for snow-white rice. She used modern anti-inflammatory medicine to happen upon curing the brigade's secretary's son of a sudden illness, earning herself light work that spared her from farm labor. She even traded colorful cloth bought from modernity for scarce industrial coupons with the supply and marketing cooperative director's wife. Before long, she wore a Dacron shirt that drew envy from every youth in the dorm. And what had become of herself? She was like a sugarcane stalk squeezed dry of juice, cast aside to be trampled upon. Deprived of the ring's protection, she became Chang Jixia's foil. People would say, "Look how capable young Cheng is. Lin Wanqiu cannot even hold a sickle steady." Or, "Young Cheng is so kind-hearted, carrying water for Aunt Wang." Lin Wanqiu only hides indoors to shirk work. She never had enough grain to eat. Every task drained her strength. Soon she wasted away to skin and bones, her padded jacket from home hanging loose on her frame like a flag. Worse still was Wang Erlai. That idle ne'er-do-well loitered constantly outside the educated youth dorm. Persuaded by gossip, he set his sights on her. In the vision, one evening she had walked back from delivering workpoint records to the brigade office. Taking a shortcut past haystacks beside the threshing ground, she was suddenly engulfed by the stench of alcohol. Young Lin all alone? Wang Erlai clamped her arm in an iron-like grip, his yellowed teeth glinting in the dusk. "Stay and chat with me. I'll buy you candy." Terror seized her. She struggled desperately, yet she was no match for a man hardened by farm work. She barely escaped. She ran toward the dorm as fast as she could, losing one shoe along the way. Stones cut her feet, blood trickling down her ankles onto the frozen earth, leaving a dark red trail behind her. But the next day, rumors swept through the village. "Have you heard? Young Lin was fooling around with Wang Erlai beside the haystacks last night. I always thought she was no good. Quiet as she seems, her mind is full of wicked thoughts. A girl whose reputation is ruined like that, who would ever marry her?" When Chang Jixia found her, her eyes were red. She held a neatly folded handkerchief in her hand. "Wanqiu, do not take these rumors to heart. Wang Erlai is in the wrong, but he has sent someone to propose marriage to you. If you marry him, all this talk will stop." Lin Wanqiu trembled with rage, her finger pointing at Chang Jixia. "Did you tell him I would take that path? Did you?" Chang Jixia froze, then tears spilled down her face, her sobs ragged. "Wanqiu, how can you suspect me? I am only looking out for you. With your reputation ruined, who besides Wang Erlai would take you as a wife?" Villagers gathered around, chattering in unison. "She is right, Wanqiu. Wang Erlai may be rough, but he is a man who can give you food. A girl's reputation is everything. If you refuse him, how will you go on living?" Those voices wove an inescapable net, trapping her completely. In the end, she did marry Wang Erlai. Drunk, he beat her. Sober, he cursed her and treated her like livestock. Even pregnant, she had to carry buckets of water in bitter wind, surviving on coarse bran that scratched her throat. Childbirth came on a snow-choked night. She writhed in agony on the earthen king, while Wang Erlai drank with companions in the next room, not even bothering to fetch a midwife. She felt life drain out of her. Visions flickered before her eyes, her mother placing the ring around her neck, her male cousin's red-rimmed eyes as he saw her onto the train, and Chang Jixia standing outside the supply and marketing cooperative, holding fruit candy and smiling triumphantly. As consciousness sank into darkness, she still seemed to hear Wang Erlai's laughter from the next room, the sound of her own blood dripping onto frozen soil, and the faint stir of her unborn child. That baby would never open its eyes to see the world. Piercing cold flooded every limb, mixed with the scratch of coarse bran, the reek of Wang Erlai's liquor, and Qing Jixiao's triumphant smile, swallowing her whole. No! Lin Wanqiu jolted awake. Her chest heaved violently, cold sweat soaking the back of her blouse. The train rattled onward along the rails. Qing Jixia had finished braiding her hair and was biting into her mixed-grain steamed bun, her profile gentle in the sunlight. Sharp pain pricked her palm. Looking down, she saw her fingernails had dug deep, piercing her skin. Bright red beads of blood welled from the wounds. Her mother's words exploded in her mind once more. This is our family's protective talisman. Do not let outsiders see it unless you have no other choice. Heirloom, protective talisman. Lin Wanqiu's heart hammered wildly in her chest. She could sit still no longer. She stood abruptly, knocking over her canvas bag at her feet. Belongings spilled across the floor. Wanqiu, what is wrong? Startled, Qing Jixia set down her bun and moved to gather the scattered items. Her concern appeared flawless. Is your dizziness very bad? Should I speak with the train conductor? No. Lin Wanqiu's voice shook. She evaded Qing Jixia's outstretched hands, shoving belongings hastily back into her bag. I am going to the lavatory. With that, she fled toward the lavatory at the end of the carriage. The moment she slid the bolt shut, she leaned against the cold metal door, gasping for breath. The small space smelled foul, yet it cleared her muddled thoughts and grounded her in the certainty that she was alive. Trembling, she untied the red cord from her collar and removed the dark jade ring. She clutched it tightly. Her palm wounds tore open again, blood staining the jade's surface. This time she would not let go. She pressed harder, smearing more blood onto the ring. Her eyes burned with defiance and resolve. You are my family's heirloom, she whispered hoarsely to the ring. You ought to recognize me. Why should you belong to that thief? Why? The instant her words faded, the ring blazed with harsh red light, burning like red-hot iron. Lin Wanqiu tried to fling it away, yet it clung to her palm as if fused to her skin. No amount of strength could shake it off. Then a powerful suction pulled at her. Her awareness was wrenched away. The world spun wildly, and all she could hear was howling wind. After what felt like an eternity, the weightlessness subsided. Lin Wanqiu opened her eyes slowly. She stood inside a strange dimension. It was rectangular, roughly the size of a warehouse. Blank white stretched all around, with no visible walls or ceiling, yet the space felt unoppressive. On opposite sides stood two heavy carved wooden doors, their lintels etched with intricate cloud patterns reminiscent of Ming and Qing dynasty furniture she had seen in museum books. This is the spatial realm? Lin Wanqiu murmured. The ring was no longer in her hand. Yet she could feel it clearly. It had not vanished. It had merged with her consciousness. With a thought, she could sense this space. According to the book, Qing Jixia had always worn the ring around her neck. Once it had nearly been stolen by a pickpocket on a train, and afterward she kept it hidden close against her body. But for her, the ring had merged directly with her mind. Lin Wanqiu understood. This ring was passed down through her family's bloodline. It recognized kinship. Qing Jixia was an outsider. Even after stealing it, she could only use the space imperfectly. She could never truly bond with the ring, never achieve this true recognition by the artifact. She herself was its rightful owner. A surge of joy washed away her fear and rage. No longer would she fear having the ring stolen. As long as she kept silent, no one would learn her secret. Calming herself, she studied the space. Both doors stood closed. She had no idea which led back to her 1970s and which opened onto that strange modern world. Drawing a deep breath, she walked to the door on the right. It was heavy. She strained to push it open a crack. Thick white mist billowed out. Through the haze she saw a transparent barrier. Beyond it lay a bustling scene. Rows of orderly counters heaped with colorful produce, red tomatoes, green cucumbers, purple eggplants, even mangoes and lychees she had only seen in picture books, piled high like small hills. People in varied clothing pushed shopping carts back and forth. Fresh strawberries, 30 yuan a pot. Eggs on special, 3.8 yuan today. Hawkers' voices drifted faintly through the barrier. Lin Wanqiu's eyes widened. This was modernity. This was the world where grain and medicine were easy to obtain, where she might even find means to ease her parents' suffering in the labor camp. Her heart raced, almost leaping out of her throat. If she stepped past that barrier, could she, like Chung Jixia, obtain grain, medicine, and supplies to help her parents survive until their rehabilitation, until college entrance examinations returned, until they could go back to the city? Reason quickly checked her impulse. She was still on the train. Staying too long in the lavatory would arouse suspicion, especially from Cheng Jixia, whose gentle eyes never truly stopped watching her. She turned and slowly closed the door. Its heavy thud sealed off the bustle of the modern world. She walked to the left-hand door and pushed it gently open. No mist, no barrier. Beyond lay the familiar cramped lavatory, its metal door plastered with a no-smoking sign. She was back on the train. Leaning against the door, she exhaled a long breath and touched her forehead. Nothing marked her skin, yet she could feel the rectangular space dwelling within her mind, the two carved doors waiting for her call. Cheng Jixia. Wang Erlai. She mouthed the two names silently against the metal door. Timidity and confusion faded from her gaze, replaced by icy determination. This time, I will not let you succeed. The ring is mine. My life is mine. I will survive. My parents will survive. We will wait for rehabilitation, for the college entrance examinations, for our return to the city. We will live the lives we deserve. Smoothing her clothes, Lin Wanqiu unlocked the lavatory door. Few passengers lingered in the corridor. She held her back straight and walked steadily toward her seat. When Cheng Jixia saw her return, she smiled and held out another steamed bun. Wanqiu, your color is much better. Eat something or you will have no strength to get off at our stop. Lin Wanqiu looked at the outstretched hand. At this moment, Cheng Jixia still had no idea what she had lost forever. She declined the bun and nodded faintly. No thank you. I am not hungry. Cheng Jixia's outstretched hand hung midair. Her smile dimmed, though she maintained her mild expression. Really won't eat? This mixed grain bun has soybean flour mixed in. It tastes better than pure cornmeal. It will get cold soon. Lin Wanqiu stared down at her hands. The wounds from her fingernails had scabbed over, throbbing dully. Memories surfaced of their first meeting. When the train had just departed, each educated youth had introduced themselves. When it was her turn, she had mumbled, "My name is Lin Wanqiu," cheeks flushing. It had been Cheng Jixia who had smiled and spoken up at once. Wanqiu? What a lovely name. It reminds me of the poem, "After the new rain on the mountain, autumn arrives late." My name is Cheng Jixia. Ji means to understand, and Xia means summer. See, your name bears autumn and mine bears summer. It feels as though we were born to be sisters. News of her parents' demotion had weighed heavily on her back then. She had endured cold-hearted treatment from many people. Cheng Jixia's warm words had felt like a ray of light, bringing her a measure of comfort. When we get to the countryside, if anything troubles you, come to me, Cheng Jixia had promised, her eyes bright. My father's family is from the countryside. I grew up there. I know how to dig wild vegetables and cut wheat. I will look after you. How ridiculous it all seemed now. Lin Wanqiu sneered inwardly. Back then, moved by those seemingly heartfelt words, she had regarded Cheng Jixia as an elder sister, ready to share everything she possessed. Now, observing Cheng Jixia's show of concern, she saw only a poorly acted performance. Beneath that gentle gaze lay covetousness for the jade ring, schemes to climb upward by trampling others, and cold calculation that treated her as nothing more than a stepping stone. In the dream, Wang Erlai had set his sights on her at an uncannily opportune moment. It was exactly when she had repeatedly demanded the ring from Cheng Jixia to no avail and threatened to report her to the Public Security Bureau. I'm really not hungry. Lin Wanqiu lifted her head, trying to keep her tone even. I squatted in the restroom for too long just now, and I feel a little nauseous. Only then did Cheng Jixia draw back her hand and put the cornmeal bun back into the oil paper wrapper, her tone still warm and cordial. All right then. Eat whenever you get hungry. By the way, Wanqiu, what did your parents do for a living? You have such fair, delicate skin. You don't look like those of us who've done hard farm work since childhood. Here it comes. Lin Wanqiu's heart skipped a beat. This scene was also in the book. It was just like Cheng Jixia to fish for information so subtly and figure out her background. Her parents had been sent down to the countryside. She was living under another's roof, naive, and had no one to rely on, the perfect soft target to manipulate. In her past life, she had still trusted Cheng Jixia back then. She had vaguely said, "My parents were teachers. They used to give lessons," yet dared not mention that they had been sent down, nor that her great-uncle had sent her here. Even those few words had been firmly etched in Chang Jixia's mind. Later at the educated youth point, she would deliberately tell others, Wanqiu comes from a family of intellectuals. She wouldn't know the first thing about rural labor. What sounded like praise was actually pushing her into the role of a pampered, spoiled girl. My parents passed away long ago. Lin Wanqiu lowered her eyelids, her voice soft, tinged with feigned sobs. I grew up with my great-uncle. He is old and could no longer afford my schooling. Hearing that going to the countryside would earn work points, he sent me here. She could feel Chang Jixia's gaze linger on her face for a moment, filled with probing surprise, which was soon replaced by thick, feigned sympathy. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Chang Jixia softened her voice and leaned closer, lowering her tone. Don't grieve, Wanqiu. From now on, I'll be like your elder sister. If I have a bite to eat, so will you. Once we arrive at Xiangyang Production Brigade, we'll work hard, save up work points, and sooner or later we'll make it back to the city. Hearing those familiar comforting words, Lin Wanqiu dug her fingernails once more into the palm of her hand. Her thoughts drifted back to her old home, the small courtyard filled with books and mechanical parts. Her mother was a professor of Chinese literature at the university. She would often wear a pale blue dacron shirt and prepare lessons beneath the grape arbor. Sunlight filtered through the leaves and fell across her lesson plans, every line steeped in tenderness. Her father was a mechanical expert at a military factory. His hands were rough yet deft. He could repair broken radios and carve all kinds of little wooden animals for her. They had loved each other deeply. When her mother was pregnant with her, an accident had threatened the pregnancy, and they had nearly lost her. Frightened by the ordeal, her father had refused to have another child afterward. Wanqiu is enough for me. I will cherish you two for the rest of my life, he had said. Her childhood had unfolded amid her mother's recitations of poetry and the clink of her father taking machines apart and putting them back together. She would sit on her mother's lap and listen to tales from Journey to the West. She would also squat beside her father's toolbox and watch him tinker. She had dreamed of standing at a lectern like her mother someday, or building magnificent machines just like her father. Yet all of that had been destroyed by her mother's greedy student. Denied a professional promotion, the man had falsely reported her mother for having overseas connections. She still remembered that day. Their home had been ransacked. Her father's certificates of merit had been torn to shreds. Her mother's books had been piled in the yard and set ablaze. Flames lit up her parents' ashen faces. Her mother had clutched her hand, tears streaming down her cheeks. Wanqiu, listen to me. You and father must cut ties with me. Stop talking. Her father had cut her off, his voice hoarse yet resolute. The Lin family raises no cowards who abandon their wives and children. We go together, we endure together. In the end, her great-uncle had arrived, eyes red from weeping, and pleaded. Little brother, sister-in-law, think of Wanqiu, if not for yourselves. To let her survive, her parents had finally publicly severed all ties with her in the newspaper. Before leaving for her great-uncle's house, her mother had pressed the jade ring into her palm, wrapped round and round with red thread. This was passed down from your maternal grandmother. It will keep you safe. Wanqiu, stay alive. Wait for mother and father to come fetch you. She had wept uncontrollably, clinging desperately to her mother's coat, until her father had gently pried her away. As she turned to leave, she saw her father's shoulders shake violently. Afterward, she went to live with her great-uncle, trapped in endless nightmares. In her dreams there were always flames, shouts, and the sight of her parents being forced onto a truck. She could barely eat or sleep. Within half a month she had wasted away. Shirts that had once fit hung loose on her frame. Her great-aunt would wipe away secret tears watching her deteriorate. If she carries on like this, she will break before her parents ever come back. Her great-uncle sighed, smoked half a pack of cigarettes, and finally made up his mind. Very well. Let her go. At least she will be closer, and that might bring her some peace of mind. Before she left for the countryside, her great-uncle had warned her repeatedly. Wanqiu, never let anyone find out who your parents are out there. You look like your maternal grandmother, not like them. Keep your mouth shut, and no one will suspect a thing. Work hard, speak little. When things calm down, I will find a way to bring you home. Back then all she could think about was being closer to her parents. She had never imagined how harsh rural life would be, much less that she would meet Chang Jixia, a viper cloaked in gentle kindness, on this very train. Cheng Jixia had fetched meals for her, mended her clothes, and even stood up for her when other educated youth ostracized her. Step by step, she had won her trust, until she got hold of the jade ring around her neck. Looking back, Cheng Jixia had been plotting from the very start. By prying into her family background, she had been checking whether she had powerful connections and how easy she was to bully. Her sister-like affection had merely been a ploy to lower her guard so she could seize the heirloom. "Wanqiu? Why are you zoning out again?" Cheng Jixia's voice pulled her back to the present. "Are you missing home again?" Who doesn't miss home? My parents are cadres, yet once I head for the countryside, heaven knows when I will return." Lin Wanqiu lifted her eyes and met Cheng Jixia's sincere gaze. A wave of nausea rose in her throat. She tugged at the corners of her mouth in a smile more sorrowful than tears. "A little. But I will listen to Sister Jixia. Work hard, and things will get better eventually." She put deliberate emphasis on Sister Jixia. She caught a flicker of satisfaction in Cheng Jixia's eyes, yet her heart felt as though it were being stabbed with shards of ice. Things will get better? What had awaited her in her past life? Her family heirloom stolen, her reputation ruined, forced into marriage with a rogue, dying while pregnant. Upon hearing of her death, her parents had fallen gravely ill from grief and passed away in the labor camp. The train plunged into a tunnel. The carriage fell into darkness. Faint light flickered across Cheng Jixia's face through the windows, casting eerie shifting shadows. Lin Wanqiu closed her eyes and rested her head against the cold window pane. She told herself over and over in her heart, "Lin Wanqiu, remember this. From this moment on, no more naivety, no more weakness, no trusting so-called elder sisters. You have only yourself and the spatial dimension hidden within your consciousness. You must protect yourself, safeguard the ring, wait for your parents' rehabilitation, wait for the National College entrance examination to resume, and take them far away from this cruel place." As for Cheng Jixia, Lin Wanqiu's eyelashes fluttered, concealing the cold glint in her eyes. "Everything you took from me and my parents in our past life, I will make you pay it back, every last bit." Amid the clattering rumble of the train, the sun climbed high overhead. The carriage filled with mixed smells, the coarse grain scent of cornmeal buns, salty pickled vegetables, and the occasional aroma of meat drifting from metal lunchboxes. These were train station meals for privileged, educated youth, white rice topped with braised pork and stir-fried greens, drawing envious glances from those nearby. Lin Wanqiu's stomach rumbled, long since empty. She pushed her turbulent emotions aside. She knew the journey was far from over. They would reach Shin City by train, transfer to a long-distance bus for the county seat, take another vehicle to the commune, and finally walk on foot to Xiangyang Production Brigade. Without physical strength, she would not survive. She picked up her canteen from her army green satchel and walked toward the hot water boiler at the end of the carriage. As she passed Cheng Jixia's seat, she noticed the woman staring intently at her bag. Seeing her get up, Cheng Jixia smiled warmly. "Wanqiu, going for hot water? I still have half a pot left. Why not use mine?" Lin Wanqiu kept walking and replied coolly, "No need. I'll get my own." Cheng Jixia's smile froze for a split second before returning. She watched Lin Wanqiu's back and pursed her lips quietly. Several people were already queuing at the hot water boiler. Lin Wanqiu waited patiently, her gaze drifting across the carriage. Most educated youth were eating dry rations, chatting softly about hopes and anxieties for rural life. Her eyes settled on a seat by the window diagonally opposite. A young man in faded blue cotton tunic sat there, eating a boxed meal. His side profile was sharp and clean. His long eyelashes cast faint shadows over his eyelids as he looked down. His quiet, aloof air stood out against the noisy crowd. It was Xin Jinyan. From what Lin Wanqiu recalled of the book, this educated youth Xin was rarely mentioned. Born to cadre-class parents in the city, he was quiet and withdrawn. Handsome, he was the subject of whispers among many young female, educated youth, and Cheng Jixia was the most conspicuous of them all. On her way back with hot water, she saw Cheng Jixia holding her cornmeal bun, leaning over beside Xin Jinyan, her voice cloyingly sweet. "Xin Jiqing, your boxed meal looks wonderful. Did you buy it from the dining car?" "I tried earlier, but the queue was endless." Xin Jinyan did not lift his head. He uttered a low in reply. Ignoring his coldness, Cheng Jixia smiled again. "I notice your canteen is nearly empty. I'm heading for hot water anyway. Shall I fill yours for you?" This time Xin Jinyan looked up. His gaze swept over her calmly. His tone was flat and final. No, 2 short words, steeped in unmistakable distance. Qing Jixia's face flushed bright red. She nearly dropped the bun in her hand. Several nearby educated youth who had been eavesdropping looked down, pretending not to notice. Awkwardness hung thick in the air. At that moment, a tanned, robust young man spoke in a loud, booming voice. Jixia, I'm going for hot water. Let me fill yours. It was Lu Changshan. Lin Wanqiu tightened her grip around her canteen. She remembered this man. In her past life, when she had confronted Cheng Jixia over the ring, Lu Changshan had been the loudest of all. He had shouted insults at her, calling her ungrateful. He had claimed Cheng Jixia had treated her so well, yet she was falsely accusing her. Every word had cut like a blade. Right now Lu Changshan looked at Cheng Jixia with blatant, eager admiration. He reached out to take her canteen off the table. Cheng Jixia glanced at his clothes. Dark grease stains marred his sleeves. Her brows drew together almost imperceptibly. She quickly pulled her canteen out of his reach and laughed. No, thank you. I still have a little water left. It will do for now. Besides, the queue must be very long right now. Waiting would take ages. Everyone could tell she found him and his clothes unclean. Lu Changshuan's hand hung suspended in midair, his smile fading. Yet he seemed accustomed to such treatment. He grinned again quickly. Fair enough. I'll go get mine and check how long the queue is. If it shortens, I'll fetch yours for you. He picked up his own canteen and walked toward the boiler, never daring to touch her belongings again. Cheng Jixia let out a quiet breath and sat back down. When she caught Lin Wanqiu watching her, she plastered her gentle smile back on her face. Wanqiu, how thoughtless of me. Would you like me to warm your flatbread with hot water? It will be softer to eat. Lin Wanqiu took out the mixed, grain flatbread her great aunt had packed for her from her satchel. She shook her head and took a large bite, speaking with her mouth full. No, this is fine. She chewed the hard flatbread slowly, tasting its simple grain flavor. She washed it down sip by sip with hot water. When she had first gone to the countryside in her past life, she had hated coarse food and often gone hungry. Later she learned that having enough to eat was already a great blessing. Seeing that Lin Wanqiu paid her little attention, Cheng Jixia turned back to Xin Jinyan and tried to strike up conversation again. Xin Jiqing, are you assigned to Xiangyang Production Brigade too? I heard most of our batch will be sent to nearby brigades. Perhaps we will see each other often. Xin Jinyan had finished his meal and was wiping his mouth with a handkerchief. He merely hummed without offering further reply. Rebuffed once more, Cheng Jixia persisted. I have visited the countryside before. Farm work is exhausting. Harvesting wheat means bending over all day until your waist aches terribly. Xin Jiqing, you have such delicate skin. I fear you will struggle out there. Her words carried forced familiarity and patronizing concern. Even Lin Wanqiu found them uncomfortable. Xin Jinyan met her eyes, faintly cold. Whether it is hard or not, I will find out for myself. He turned his head toward the window and ignored whatever else Cheng Jixia tried to say. Completely humiliated, Cheng Jixia fell silent and bit into her bun, though it tasted bland on her tongue. Lin Wanqiu observed all of this in silence, sneering inwardly. Cheng Jixia was clearly drawn to his family background and good looks, hoping to attach herself to him. According to the book, Xin Jinyan was Cheng Jixia's unrequited crush. He remained too distant. After pursuing him fruitlessly for a long time, she met the male lead and gave up on him. After lunch, noise in the carriage died down. Many educated youth leaned back in their seats to rest. The train rumbled steadily onward. The sun drifted westward, gilding the stretching farmland outside. Lin Wanqiu closed her eyes and rested her forehead against the cool window. She was not truly asleep. She mentally mapped out their onward journey, disembark at Shin City Station, take the long-distance bus to the county seat, change transport for the commune, and finally walk or ride an ox cart to Xiangyang Production Brigade. Every step required caution, especially at crowded transfer points. She slipped one hand inside her satchel and quietly stowed her money and food coupons into her spatial storage. After some time, the train conductor's voice crackled over the broadcast. Dear passengers, we will shortly arrive at Shin City Station. Please collect your luggage and prepare to alight. A stir swept through the carriage. Educated youth stood up, stretching to pull bundles from the overhead racks. Lin Wanqiu owned only one worn canvas bag holding clothes and bedding, plus her army green satchel. Weak from weeks of poor appetite, she struggled to haul the heavy bag down from the rack and slung it over her shoulders. Wanqiu, do you need help? Qing Jixia's voice came from behind. Lu Chongshan hovered beside her, eager to carry her luggage. No, Lin Wanqiu did not look back. She tightened the bag straps securely and moved toward the exit amid the crowd. Qing Jixia stared at her stubborn back, curled her lip, then smiled at Lu Chongshan. I would be so grateful, Chongshan. This bamboo chest looks small, yet it is packed full and very heavy. It's nothing at all. Lu Chongshan beamed with simple delight as he took the chest. Leave it to me. I will carry it safely for you. They chatted as they followed the crowd, in sharp contrast to Lin Wanqiu's solitary silence. Stepping off the train, hot air thick with coal smoke and dust washed over them. The station square teemed with travelers. Shouts, children's cries and car horns blended into a deafening bustle. In the square, several people wearing red armbands held a banner reading, Educated Youth Reception Desk. Beside them stood green buses marked County Seat, Railway Station. Educated youth comrades, register over here, a middle-aged man in blue workwear called loudly. Form groups according to the list. Board the bus promptly. The next departure is in 30 minutes. Lin Wanqiu joined the queue to register. She gave her name and destination. The official ticked her name off the roster and pointed toward the left-most bus. Get on that one. It goes to your county. She nodded and turned for her canvas bag. Hurry up. Don't dawdle, people behind her urged. Lin Wanqiu gritted her teeth, hoisted her bag higher, and shuffled forward with the crowd. She finally handed her bag to the staff loading luggage and made it to the bus door. The vehicle was already packed, with several educated youth standing in the aisle. Wanqiu, there is space here. Qing Jixia sat by a window and waved at her. The girl beside me is willing to squeeze over. Come sit here. Lin Wanqiu glanced over. The young woman next to Qing Jixia had shifted inward, yet her face showed clear reluctance. Her brows were knitted tight and her lips pressed firmly together. This willingness was entirely feigned. Lin Wanqiu said nothing. She merely shook her head, walked straight to the back of the coach, and gripped the overhead handrail. Sooner or later she would fall out with Qing Jixia. She had no wish to take part in hollow pretenses, nor did she want to put that other girl in an awkward spot. The ride was only 2 hours. She could endure standing. Qing Jixia's hand froze mid-air. Her smile faded, and an inexplicable irritation welled up inside her. What had got into Lin Wanqiu today? That morning she had been agreeable toward her, yet now she kept her distance at every turn. Had she somehow offended her? Seeing that Lin Wanqiu was not coming over, the girl beside her quietly let out a breath and murmured to Qing Jixia, "She seems quite stubborn." Qing Jixia forced a smile and did not reply, silently filing the incident away in her mind. The coach soon filled up. The driver honked the horn, and the vehicle rolled slowly out of the station. Lin Wanqiu stood in the back row, one hand clutching the handrail and the other guarding her shoulder bag. The further they drove, the hotter and stuffier the cabin grew. Most of the educated youth were riding a long-distance bus for the first time. At first they chatted and laughed, but gradually, jolted by the swaying vehicle and the roar of the engine, many turned pale. Lin Wanqiu's stomach churned too. When the driver braked, a gust of petrol fumes flooded in, and she barely kept herself from vomiting. She bit her lower lip hard and forced herself to stare out the window. Scenery raced past. The bustle of the station gave way to suburban farmland, with endless stretches of green cornfields. Every now and then laborers in straw hats could be seen bent over in the fields, like stakes driven into the earth. Ugh, a retch came from the front. One girl could hold back no longer and vomited into a plastic bag. A sour stench spread through the cabin at once. Gasps echoed through the bus. Several people clamped their noses, and others began retching in sympathy. Qing Jixia frowned and covered her mouth with a handkerchief. Lin Wanqiu's throat tightened. She closed her eyes and took several deep breaths to suppress her nausea. She was glad she had eaten very little that morning, otherwise she would have lost her lunch too. After 2 hours of bumping along, the coach finally pulled into the county seat. It stopped in the open ground before the county government building. The middle-aged man with the red armband was shouting again, "Educated youth from each commune, gather over here. Group yourselves by commune. Transport will take you to your commune shortly." Lin Wanqiu climbed down with the crowd. Her head spun the moment her feet touched the ground. She leaned against the bus door for a long while before steadying herself. She looked up at the county government gate, blue bricks and red paint, 2 sentries standing guard, an air of solemnity hanging over the place. Registration, grouping, reboarding. This time their transport to the commune consisted of several old-style trucks. Straw was spread across the cargo beds. There were no seats at all. Having learned her lesson from the bus ride, Lin Wanqiu pushed her way onto one truck before anyone else and seized a spot near the side. It was only straw to sit on, but at least she could lean against the truck wall for some stability. Hardly had she sat down when she saw Cheng Jixia climb aboard, shielded by Lu Chongshan. Still annoyed with Lin Wanqiu, Cheng Jixia did not so much as glance her way. The truck filled quickly. The driver checked everything and started the engine toward the commune. The road out of the county was passable at first, but conditions worsened the further they went into the countryside. Riddled with potholes, it jolted the vehicle violently. The educated youth in the cargo bed were tossed from side to side, bumping into one another. Complaints rang out. "This road is terrible. My bones are being shaken apart. I would rather have walked if I had known it would be this rough." Lin Wanqiu clung firmly to the truck side to stay seated. Nausea rose in her stomach again, worse than it had been on the coach. Her face paled, her lips pressed thin, and fine beads of sweat broke out on her forehead. She shut her eyes, fighting the roiling discomfort, longing only to arrive. Just then a hand touched her arm gently. Lin Wanqiu opened her eyes. Beside her sat a girl with two thick braids, holding an orange sweet wrapped in cellophane. The girl's skin was tanned, but her eyes were large and shone with simple sincerity. "Are you carsick?" she asked softly. "Sucking on a sweet helps. I get travel sick too, and this works for me." Lin Wanqiu stared at the orange sweet, then at the girl's earnest face. Warmth surged inside her. Amid this strange, jolting journey, this unexpected kindness felt more comforting than anything else. "Thank you." She took the sweet, peeled off the wrapper, and popped it into her mouth. Tangy, sweet orange flavor spread across her tongue, easing much of her queasiness. She rummaged in her shoulder bag and pulled out a white rabbit cream candy, holding it out. "Have this in return for your orange sweet." Sugar was precious in those days. Though both were sweets, white rabbit candies were far more rare, usually only available at New Year. The girl had not expected a gift in return. She took it in surprise and smiled brightly. "Thank you. I'm Lin Wanqiu. I'm going to Xiangyang Production Brigade." Lin Wanqiu spoke, her tone softer. "I'm Zhang Fenglan. I'm heading for Dongfeng Production Brigade." The girl grinned, showing two little tiger teeth. "We aren't assigned to the same brigade, but we can't be far apart. Maybe we'll run into each other at market days." "Maybe we will." Lin Wanqiu smiled back. They talked, exchanging stories of their families and what they imagined village life would be like. Zhang Fenglan was from the countryside originally. She knew something about farming, though she worried about poor living quarters. Lin Wanqiu admitted she knew nothing and would have to learn everything from scratch. Zhang Fenglan was forthright and open-hearted. Lin Wanqiu said little but listened attentively, chiming in now and then. Before long, the truck's jolts felt less unbearable. "Speaking of that Cheng Jixia, did you come with her?" Zhang Fenglan lowered her voice. "I noticed she looked cross with you." Lin Wanqiu had not expected such sharp observation. "We just took the same train. We aren't close." Zhang Fenglan nodded understandingly and dropped the subject. "When you're away from home you have to stay alert. Some people seem nice on the surface, but think differently underneath." Lin Wanqiu thought Zhang Fenglan, for all her plain, spoken simplicity, was quite perceptive. "I know. Thanks for the warning." The truck hit a large boulder and lurched violently. Everyone in the cargo bed was thrown about. Lin Wanqiu lost her grip and nearly fell, only kept from tumbling out by Zhang Fenglan's quick grab. "Careful." Zhang Fenglan steadied her. "The road is getting worse. We must be nearly there." Lin Wanqiu composed herself and looked out. In the distance, low houses came into view, and a sign reading Xiangyang Commune. "We're almost there," someone called out excitedly. Cheers rose from the cargo bed. Everyone perked up and sorted their belongings. Lin Wanqiu breathed in relief and turned to Zhang Fenglan. "This is my stop. Thank you for the sweet and for catching me just now." "Don't mention it." Zhang Fenglan waved her hand. "Look after yourself out here. Don't bottle up your troubles. Ask the people around you for advice." "I will." Lin Wanqiu nodded firmly. The truck rumbled to a halt outside the commune compound. The educated youth climbed down one after another. Lin Wanqiu slung her canvas bag over her shoulder and waved as Zhang Fenglan waved back. Then she turned and followed the crowd toward the group holding the Xiangyang Production Brigade placard. The commune courtyard was crowded. Educated youth from different brigades clustered around the people holding name signs to collect them. Scanning the crowd, Lin Wanqiu soon spotted the wooden placard for Xiangyang Production Brigade. Beside it stood a stocky, dark-skinned middle-aged man in a patched blue homespun jacket. His trouser legs were rolled up to his knees, revealing sturdy calves. He looked somewhat impatient, glancing repeatedly at the sun and stamping his feet. This must be the man sent to meet them. Lin Wanqiu walked over with her canvas bag slung over her shoulder. As soon as she stopped, the man turned toward her and asked in a gruff voice, "You're assigned to Xiangyang Production Brigade?" His voice was rough, the unpolished frankness of a countryman. "Yes, uncle." Lin Wanqiu nodded, keeping her tone respectful. He pulled out a crumpled little notebook, flipped it open, asked for her name, and ticked it off with a pencil. He pointed toward an ox cart nearby. "Put your luggage there. We leave once everyone has arrived." Lin Wanqiu looked at the ox cart. An old yellow ox chewed hay unhurriedly. 2 bulging sacks already lay on the cart. She stepped forward and heaved her canvas bag upward. The man caught it and tossed it onto the cart effortlessly. Lin Wanqiu marveled. His strength was easily twice hers. "I'm Li Taizhu, head of Xiangyang Production Brigade." He brushed dust from his hands by way of introduction. "The village chief had other business, so I've come to fetch you lot." "Thank you for your trouble, brigade leader," Lin Wanqiu replied. Li Taizhu grunted, said no more, and turned to look elsewhere, clearly in no mood for idle chat with the educated youth. Lin Wanqiu stood in the shade and observed her surroundings. 3 other young people, 2 young men and 1 young woman, already waited beside the ox cart, evidently fellow educated youth. 1 young man wore a white shirt and glasses, looking scholarly as he bent over an old book. The second young man was dark-complexioned and solid-built, helping Li Taizhu arrange the luggage on the cart. Her gaze fell on the young woman, and Lin Wanqiu blinked in surprise. She wore a pink patterned dress with a full skirt, polished small leather shoes, her hair neatly combed and pinned with a red hair clip. She stood out sharply against the drab surroundings, as if out for an outing rather than sent down to the countryside. Seeing her outfit, Lin Wanqiu recalled a character from the book, Zhao Yakan. According to the story, Zhao Yakan came from a military family and had been spoiled growing up, with a headstrong temper. Yet Lin Wanqiu thought she was actually quite sensible. She had signed up of her own accord. Her elder brother served in the army and her younger brother was only 7. She volunteered so no one would criticize her father's political awareness. In the novel, her spoiled ways brought her into frequent clashes with Cheng Jixia, marking her as an unpopular villainess. Still, when Lin Wanqiu demanded a ring back from Cheng Jixia, Zhao Yakan had spoken up in her defense. Presently Cheng Jixia and Lu Changshan walked over. Catching sight of Zhao Yakan's clothes, Cheng Jixia's eyes widened briefly before her gentle smile returned. She stepped forward to greet her. "Comrade, are you also bound for Xiangyang Production Brigade?" "My name is Cheng Jixia." Zhao Yakan shot her a glance, held her chin high, and replied coolly, "Zhao Yakan." Cheng Jixia's smile froze, unprepared for such a cold reception. Lu Changshan quickly intervened to smooth things over. "You look very smart, Comrade Zhao. That dress, did you buy it in the city?" Zhao Yakan softened slightly and nodded. "My mother had someone buy it for me." Jealousy flickered fleetingly in Cheng Jixia's eyes, though she kept smiling. "It's lovely, but the country roads are rough. I'm afraid it won't be very practical out here." "I like it." Zhao Yakan huffed and turned away, paying Cheng Jixia no further heed. Rebuffed, Cheng Jixia fell silent. Lu Changshan also held his tongue, leaving an awkward silence. Lin Wanqiu watched without speaking. She bore no ill will toward Zhao Yakan. Compared with Cheng Jixia's hypocrisy, this unvarnished willfulness felt far more genuine. About 15 minutes later, Shen Jinyan arrived, followed by another young woman. The newcomer bowed her head apologetically. "I'm so sorry. I lost my luggage just now and this comrade helped me look for it, which made us late." The brigade leader asked for both their names and ticked them off in his notebook. "Everyone's here. Let's go." Li Taizhu glanced at the sky, stuffed his notebook away, and clapped his hands. Hearing this, Zhao Yakan lifted her skirt and moved toward the ox cart, ready to climb aboard. "Let's be off." "Hey, what are you doing?" Li Taizhu blocked her path, frowning deeply. "This cart is for luggage, not passengers." Zhao Yakan stared in bewilderment. "Isn't an ox cart for carrying people? What else is it for?" "Carrying luggage." Li Tiezhi's tone was sharp. Oxen are precious assets for the production team. We hardly use them even for hauling fertilizer or grain tax. We aren't wasting them carting city youngsters around. You came down to the countryside to work, not live in comfort. A bit of walking won't kill you. He glanced at her leather shoes and spoke even more sternly. And those shoes. How are you supposed to do farm work dressed like that? You'll only be a nuisance. Zhao Yakin had never been spoken to like this in her life. Her face flushed hot with anger. I came here to receive re-education, not to suffer. What harm is there riding the ox cart? Isn't an ox meant for work? You are being unreasonable, girl. Li Taizhu raised his voice. In the countryside, oxen are valued above people. The whole year's harvest depends on them. You educated youth haven't proven what you can do, yet you already want to make the ox work for you. Their argument drew onlookers from other brigades, who stood pointing and whispering. Humiliation burned Zhao Yakin's cheeks. Her eyes welled with tears, yet she stubbornly refused to back down. Qing Jixia hurried forward to mediate, speaking softly. Yakin, the brigade leader, means well. Life in the countryside is hard. Let us listen to him and walk. She turned to Li Taizhu with a smile. Please do not be angry, brigade leader. Yakin is young and unfamiliar with local ways. We will help her adjust. Her words offered Zhao Yakin an out while flattering Li Taizhu, making her appear exceptionally reasonable. Li Tiezhi's temper cooled, and he merely snorted. Lu Changshan echoed him. Quite right. Walking builds strength, it's good for you. Zhao Yakin seethed at Qing Jixia's sanctimonious manner, and was about to retort when a hand lightly took hold of her arm. She turned to find Lin Wanqiao beside her. Do not argue with the brigade leader, Lin Wanqiao said quietly, her voice soothing. Country customs differ from city ones. Oxen truly are held in high regard. We have only just arrived, it would be best not to start conflicts. Zhao Yakin met Lin Wanqiao's calm gaze, and much of her anger ebbed away. She bit her lip and said nothing, though her eyes grew moister. Lin Wanqiao turned to Li Taizhu sincere. Brigade leader, Yakin meant no harm. She simply does not understand these things. She has sturdier shoes in her luggage. Please give her a moment to change. Those fine leather shoes will not last long on mountain paths, and her feet will be rubbed raw. Li Taizhu looked at Zhao Yakin's shoes, then at Lin Wanqiao and relented. Very well, hurry up. It is still over an hour's walk. If you dawdle, we will not reach the village before dark. He shot Zhao Yakin another glare. City youngsters are so pampered. You come to the countryside without practical clothes. How will you work? Zhao Yakin made no reply this time, her head hanging, eyes glistening. Lin Wanqiao helped her lift her luggage sack down from the ox cart. Zhao Yakin unzipped it and rummaged until she pulled out brand new army, green rubber shoes and white socks. Put them on. Zhao Yakin sat on her luggage sack and changed, moving clumsily, clearly unused to such footwear. Thank you. Once finished, she stood. Her voice was subdued, still upset over the quarrel, yet genuinely grateful. You're welcome. Lin Wanqiao smiled. We are in the same brigade. We ought to look out for one another. Zhao Yakin paused, then gave an awkward Seeing they were ready, Li Taizhu shouted, March. He led the ox by its rope. The beast plodded forward, piled high with the young people's luggage. The 6 educated youth followed behind along the dirt track towards Xiangyang Production Brigade. At first the walk felt manageable, but half an hour in, exhaustion set in. Though she had changed shoes, Zhao Yakin was unused to such long treks. Her steps slowed, her brows drew tight, and she kept stopping to rest, her face showing obvious strain. Lin Wanqiao's breath grew short. Her chest felt constricted, each step heavy as though her legs were filled with lead. Dizziness threatened, and she pushed onward only through sheer willpower. Huff, huff, Zhao Yakin bent over, gasping. This road goes on forever. My feet feel like they are not my own. Lin Wanqiao was too worn out for speech. She pulled a white rabbit cream candy from her shoulder bag, unwrapped it, and held it out. Eat this. It will give you some energy. Zhao Yakin stared, took the candy and popped it in her mouth. Rich, creamy sweetness spread over her tongue, easing some of her fatigue. She glanced at Lin Wanqiao's pale face. Aren't you having any? I have more. Lin Wanqiao smiled and unwrapped one for herself. Her supply of sweets was small, her paternal aunt had slipped them to her secretly for hard times. Still, sharing one with Zhao Yakin felt worthwhile. They walked side by side, speaking little, yet bound by a quiet understanding, matching their pace without thought. 10 minutes rest. Li Taizhu called from the front and halted. If we keep going like this, someone will collapse before we get there. He had noticed how worn out Lin Wanqiao and Zhao Yakan looked. His tone remained gruff, yet the impatience was gone. Thanks to her new rubber shoes, Zhao Yakan's feet stayed unblistered, unlike in the original story where she had needed constant stops. Though Li Taizhu still thought the two girls soft and unfit for farm labor, he was far less irritable. This left no opening for Cheng Jixia to demonstrate her supposed kindness. Thank you, brigade leader. Zhao Yakan moved at once for the shade beside the road. Lin Wanqiao followed her. Too exhausted to mind the dirt on the ground, the two plopped down onto the grass, ready to collapse from fatigue. Cheng Jixia and Lu Changshan caught up soon after. Cheng Jixia pulled out a handkerchief to wipe her sweat, yet still maintained a poised smile on her face. Wanqiao, Yakan, are you two all right? I have some water here. Would you like a drink? Lin Wanqiao was far too worn out to talk. She merely waved her hand, her voice faint. I'm too tired. I don't feel like talking. Let me save my strength. Zhao Yakan nodded in agreement, gasping for breath. Right, we just want to rest for a while. The smile froze on Cheng Jixia's face. She had clearly not expected such a blunt refusal. She had meant to show concern for the two girls, only to get brushed off. She turned away awkwardly and spoke to Lu Changshan beside her. Changshan, you must be tired too. I have a steamed corn bun here. Would you like some? Lu Changshan was flattered and quickly waved his hands. No, I'm not hungry. You eat it yourself, Jixia. The two chatted listlessly off to one side. Meanwhile, Lin Wanqiao and Zhao Yakan leaned against a tree trunk, closing their eyes to rest. Sunlight filtered through gaps in the leaves, dappling their faces. The wind rustled the treetops, and cicadas chirped in the distance, bringing a fleeting moment of peace. Actually, I've never walked such a long distance before, Zhao Yakan said suddenly, still panting slightly. Back home, I either rode a bike or took a vehicle whenever I went out. At most, I would stroll around the courtyard. Lin Wanqiao opened her eyes and looked at her. Mine was much the same. I walked to school in the past, but never this far. Do you think we can make a life for ourselves in this village? Uncertainty lingered in Zhao Yakan's tone. I can barely handle such long walks, let alone work in the fields. Take it one step at a time. Lin Wanqiao gazed out toward the distant farmland, her tone calm. We'll learn eventually. Deep down, she knew better than anyone that they had to learn, whether they wanted to or not. It was her only way forward. Looking at Lin Wanqiao's calm profile, Zhao Yakan felt a little more at ease. At their first meeting, she had thought this quiet girl would be reserved and unremarkable. She had never imagined Lin Wanqiao would stand up for her. 10 minutes passed quickly. Li Taizhu shouted for everyone to get back on their feet. Lin Wanqiao and Zhao Yakan helped each other stand up, brushed grass clippings off their clothes, and exchanged a smile. A silent understanding had grown between them. Let's go. We still have half the journey ahead, Lin Wanqiao said. All right. Zhao Yakan nodded firmly. I'll hold on this time for sure. They rejoined the group. Though still exhausted, they had gained new resolve. No longer solely focused on catching their breath, they would warn each other about stones on the path or steady one another when stumbling. The road remained rough, yet their earlier irritation and complaints faded, replaced by the bond forged through shared hardship. Watching them walk side by side, Cheng Jixia felt a twinge of discontent. She had assumed Zhao Yakan was spoiled and Lin Wanqiao weak, easy to manipulate. But in just half a day, the two had formed an alliance, shutting her out. She tried to step in and strike up conversation, yet the pair were whispering to each other and paid her no mind. She clamped her mouth shut in frustration and hurried forward. Another half-hour passed. Low-lying houses came into view in the distance. A huge old locust tree marking the village entrance stood out plainly against the horizon. We've arrived. That's Xiangyang Brigade ahead. Li Taizhu pointed forward, a hint of relief in his voice. The educated youths perked up and quickened their pace. As they drew near, several village women sitting beneath the locust tree mending soles of shoes paused their work. They stared curiously at the newcomers and whispered among themselves. Are these the educated youths from the city? They look so soft-skinned. Can they handle farm work? Look at the girl in the dress. She's pretty, but she probably can't stand the sun. That plainly dressed one looks like she might be able to work. Cheng Jixia immediately put on a warm smile and stepped forward to greet them. Hello, aunts. We are the educated youths sent down to the countryside. Please take good care of us from now on. A plump woman smiled back. Why, of course. We all serve the people. "Aunt, the shoe sole you're stitching is so sturdy. You have wonderful craftsmanship." Chang Jixia was quick-witted with her words. Within moments she was chatting familiarly with the women who kept praising her for being sensible and polite. Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakin were far too worn out for social pleasantries. All they wanted was to lie down at the educated youth compound. They barely had the strength to lift their heads, let alone greet others. They hung their heads and followed silently behind Li Taizhu as the women's eyes swept over them. They ignored the occasional remark like, "Those two girls aren't very talkative. They must be worn out," one kind-hearted woman commented upon seeing their pale faces. "Stop gossiping. Let the poor girls rest." Li Taizhu urged the group onward. "Enough dawdling. Let's head for the educated youth compound." The party walked through the village toward their new home. After passing along the main village road, Li Taizhu turned down a narrow alley. At its end stood a fairly spacious courtyard. Lin Wanqiu looked up and saw two weathered wooden gates with faint faded carvings across the lintel. The houses inside were built of blue bricks. Though parts of the plaster had peeled away, they were far grander than most adobe houses in the village. "This used to be a landlord's residence." Li Taizhu pushed open the gate and explained flatly. "It was confiscated during the land reform movement and later turned into quarters for educated youths." His tone was casual, yet Lin Wanqiu's heart skipped a beat. She recalled what she had read in a book. The original owner of this house had been killed in the courtyard by radical villagers. Locals considered the place ill-omened and avoided it. Only outsiders such as the educated youths would be assigned to live here. A young man in his 20s stood waiting by the courtyard gate. He wore a faded canvas work jacket. His skin was tan dark, but his eyes were bright. He stepped forward the moment they entered. "Captain, you've brought the new arrivals." "Yes. Zhou Ji, these are the new educated youths. I'll leave them in your care." Li Taizhu gestured toward the young man. Then he turned to the rest of the group. "This is Zhou Jijun, leader of the educated youth compound. He has been here 6 years. Come to him if you have any questions." With that, the brigade captain told them to unload their luggage and left with his ox-drawn cart. Zhou Jijun smiled and nodded at everyone. "Hello, I'm Zhou Jijun. Please follow me to see your living quarters." He led them into the courtyard as he spoke. The front rooms consist of a main hall and east-west side chambers. The main hall serves as our dining room, and the side chambers are for lodging. There are several old rooms out back that are currently unoccupied. The main hall was spacious. 2 long tables had been pushed together, surrounded by wooden benches. Miscellaneous items were piled in the corners. Next door was the kitchen with 2 large earthen stoves, blackened from smoke. Firewood was stacked in the corner, and the air smelled of wood smoke. Past the main hall lie the east and west side chambers. Female educated youths stay in the east wing, and male educated youths in the west. "I won't go inside the women's quarters. I'll call the female group leader to receive you." He walked to the door of the east wing chamber and called out twice. "Zumei, the new female educated youths are here." Soon a girl stepped out. She had healthy tan skin and 2 thick braids, and wore a bright, hearty smile. "Coming. This is Jumei. She has been down here 5 years and is in charge of the female side of the compound," Zhou Jijun introduced. "Jumei, these are the new female arrivals. They're all yours. Don't worry." Jumei smiled and looked over Lin Wanqiu and the others. "My name is Jumei. Come find me whenever you need anything." Zhou Jijun added a few more reminders before taking the male educated youths over to the west wing. Jumei explained the living arrangements for the girls. 7 female educated youths already live here. "With you 4 new arrivals," she paused, looking troubled. "Each of these 2 rooms can hold at most 5 people. Adding the 4 of you brings us to 11. One person will have nowhere to sleep." Lin Wanqiu's heart sank. This was exactly the scene from the book. Jumei pointed toward the rear of the compound. There are several dilapidated rooms in the backyard. They are run down, but each is small enough for 1 person. Who would like to move back there? Chang Jixia's expression turned hesitant as she weighed her options. Lin Wanqiu remembered that in the book, Chang Jixia had volunteered for the backyard quarters in a show of self-sacrifice, winning everyone's favor and earning Jumei's praise for being sensible. But this time, Lin Wanqiu would not let her get the chance. "I'll go." Lin Wanqiu stepped forward, her tone steady. "I snore loudly at night. I wouldn't want to disturb everyone else. Living out back would work perfectly." Both Chang Jixia and Jumei stared in surprise. The thin-looking girl hardly seemed like someone who snored. Still, having someone volunteer spared Jumei an awkward situation. She nodded. "Very well. You can take one of the backyard rooms. Qing Jixia's face darkened. She had rehearsed her speech about making sacrifices, only to be beaten to it by Lin Wanqiu. She quickly put on a concerned look and grabbed Lin Wanqiu's arm. Wanqiu, don't push yourself. Those rooms are run down. Isn't it unsafe living alone out there? I should go instead. I'm not forcing myself. Lin Wanqiu gently pulled her arm free and spoke coolly. I really do snore. Staying in the backyard is better for everyone. Besides, didn't Comrade Zhu say there is more than one room back there? If Comrade Chung also wants peace and quiet, you can move back too. Qing Jixia was caught off guard. That's not what I meant. Let's go take a look, Zhao Yakin cut in, curious about these so-called rundown rooms. Maybe they are not that bad. I dislike crowded rooms too. If they are usable, I'd like a room to myself as well. Another new arrival, Ma Zhaodi, an honest-looking timid girl, mumbled, I'd like to see them too. Seeing this, Zhu Mei led them toward the backyard. All right, let's have a look. The backyard was far more shabby than the front courtyard. A row of low brick buildings stood there, yet many roof tiles were missing. Weeds crawled up the walls. These had once been servants' quarters. Zhu Mei pushed open one door, and a musty odor washed over them. The room was empty except for a rickety wooden bed. Cobwebs draped the corners, and the paper covering the window was torn in several places. Wind whistled through the gaps. This is what it's like. Zhu Mei spread her hands. If you want to stay here, you will need to repair the roof and build a heated brick bed. Winters are cold, and you can't get by without a kang. Seeing the poor condition of the room, Zhao Yakin hesitated. She tugged at Lin Wanqiu's sleeve. Wanqiu, maybe we shouldn't. This place is terrible. Qing Jixia joined in persuading her. Exactly, Wanqiu. How can anyone live here? Come stay with us in the front rooms. We can squeeze together. No one would mind your snoring. We are all comrades after all. Lin Wanqiu remained unmoved. She leaned toward Zhao Yakin and lowered her voice. Think about it. So many people packed in the front rooms. If your family sends you food, how can you eat it alone? If you share it, you will hate giving it away. If you keep it to yourself, people will call you selfish. Besides, with so many people around, things can easily go missing. Who would you hold accountable then? Lin Wanqiu was recalling events from her past life. At first, Zhao Yakin had generously shared parcels from home with the other female educated youths. Yet those girls ate her treats but never shared their own. Later, they secretly ate her food and used her vanishing cream bit by bit. Since multiple people were involved and they covered for one another, Zhao Yakin could do nothing. When she confronted them, they gossiped behind her back, calling her petty. These words struck Zhao Yakin right where it hurt. Her family was well off and would definitely send parcels. Living in a crowded room would only bring trouble. She hesitated and looked at Lin Wanqiu. Can we really make this place livable? It just needs some repairs, Lin Wanqiu smiled. Patch the roof tiles and build a kong. It will be nice and quiet compared to the front rooms. Zhao Yakin gritted her teeth. Fine. I'll move to the backyard too. Qing Jixia had not expected her to agree. She quickly put on a false show of concern. Yakin, don't act so rashly. I'm not being rash, Zhao Yakin interrupted firmly. I truly value peace and quiet. Ma Zhaodi glanced around the room and whispered. I think I will go back to the front rooms. I don't have the money to repair a house. Her family was poor, and she was grateful just to have somewhere to stay. She dared not be picky. Qing Jixia bit back her frustration. Very well, suit yourselves. I'll go help the others unpack their luggage up front. With that, she hurried off with Zhu Mei. Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakin picked two adjacent rooms. Lin Wanqiu chose the eastern one, close to the small backyard gate for easy access. Zhao Yakin took the room next door. We need to fix the roof soon, or it will leak when it rains, Zhao Yakin frowned, staring at the holes overhead. We can ask the village leader tomorrow whether anyone can help with repairs. As they talked, footsteps echoed from the backyard entrance. They turned and saw Shen Jinyan. What was he doing here? Shen Jinyan had not expected to run into them either. He paused for a moment, then pointed toward a room on the west side. That's where I'm staying. There was little space in the male quarters, so Zhou Jijun must have mentioned the backyard rooms to him. Judging by his reserved demeanor, he probably could not stand the noise in the front wing. You're living out back too? Zhao Yakin looked surprised. Shen Jinyan nodded briefly without adding another word, stepped into his room, and closed the door. He sure knows how to pick a spot, Zhao Yakin muttered. Still, having a male educated youth out back makes things safer. Lin Wanqiu was equally surprised. In the book, Shen Jinyan had not moved to the backyard. Back then, only Chung Jixia had lived there, and it would have been inappropriate for a young man to visit her alone. She smiled to herself. This works out well. With people in both the front and backyards, we can look out for one another. They said no more and began tidying their rooms. Meanwhile, in the women's quarters in the front courtyard, Chung Jixia chatted with Zhu Mei. She brought up the subject casually. Sister Zhu, I wonder why Wanqiao and Yakin insisted on moving to the backyard. That place is dreadful. I tried to talk them out of it several times. I think that story about snoring is just an excuse. Zhu Mei was assigning sleeping berths. She replied flatly, if they want to live there, let them. It saves them from being cramped. Having lived in the countryside for 5 years, she could see right through Chung Jixia's petty schemes. Rebuffed, Chung Jixia fell silent, inwardly cursing Lin Wanqiao for crossing her at every turn. As for why Shen Jinyan had chosen the backyard, Zhou Jijun had begun assigning lodging for the male-educated youths. Once inside the West Wing chamber, the air reeked of sweat and foot odor. Shen Jinyan stood there barely 2 minutes before frowning and asking, are the backyard rooms available? Zhou Jijun stared. They are usable, but run down. You would have to repair them yourself. I'll take one of the backyard rooms. With that, Shen Jinyan turned and walked toward the backyard, leaving the other young men staring at one another in astonishment. Lu Weiguo watched his retreating back and curled his lip. Acting so high and mighty. Zhou Jijun shot him a warning glance. Watch your mouth. He can live wherever he wants. Lu Weiguo fell silent, burning with resentment. Lin Wanqiao set down her luggage and turned to Zhao Yakin. Let's go borrow a broom from the front to clear away the cobwebs and dust. Right, let's go together, Zhao Yakin nodded. They walked toward the main hall, where Zhu Mei was assigning chores to the long-term educated youths to prepare supper. Seeing them arrive, Zhu Mei paused. What is it? Did you find the rooms too bad and want to move back to the front? No, Sister Zhu, Zhao Yakin hastened to explain. We just came to borrow brooms to clean our rooms in the backyard. Understanding dawned on Zhu Mei. She pointed toward the corner. There are 2 old brooms over there. Help yourselves. She paused and tried to dissuade them again. You don't have to move in right away. It's crowded up front, but at least the rooms are usable. Fixing the roof and building a Kong in those backyard rooms will take 3 to 5 days. Why not stay in the front for the time being? Thank you for your concern, Sister Zhu, but we'll be fine, Lin Wanqiao declined politely. Spring has arrived, so the weather is warm. A little draft won't hurt us. We just need to mend the roof before the rains come. Zhao Yakin nodded in agreement. Yes, we'll manage. Seeing how firm they were, Zhu Mei dropped the subject. Very well. Come ask for help whenever you need it. By the way, we are holding a welcome dinner for the new educated youths. Be at the main hall at 7 for supper. All right, Sister Zhu. They both answered in unison. With brooms in hand, they headed back to the backyard. Lin Wanqiao picked up her broom and swept down cobwebs from the ceiling. Dust showered down, making her cough repeatedly. Zhao Yakin worked diligently with the second broom, sweeping the floor, clumsy yet earnest. These rooms may be shabby, but the blue brick walls are sturdier than adobe. Zhao Yakin said as she swept. Once fixed up, they might even be quite comfortable. Most of all, they are quiet, Lin Wanqiao agreed. They worked for more than an hour until both rooms were cleaned. Lin Wanqiao pulled a tin enamel basin printed with the slogan, Serve the People, out of her canvas bag, along with a drab-colored rag. Her aunt had given it to her for cleaning upon arrival. She poured some water into the basin and wiped down the wooden bed frame thoroughly. Though still worn, it looked much cleaner. Zhao Yakin stared at her brand-new towel, reluctant to use it for scrubbing furniture. Wanqiao, could I borrow your rag? Of course. Lin Wanqiao handed it over. Just wash it and give it back afterward. Gratefully, Zhao Yakin took it and wiped down her own bed the same way. As they tidied, they chatted about family matters and hopes for the future. They grew more at ease with each other. The exhaustion from their long journey and strangeness of their new surroundings faded away. By the way, we need to talk to the village leader about repairing the roof and building a kang, Lin Wanqiao said, straightening up after finishing the last of the bed wiping. Well, I don't know much about these things. We'll have to ask someone, Zhao Yakin nodded. Shall we go now? Let's go. We can ask Sister Zhu where the village chief lives. The two locked the door and walked toward the front yard. Zhu Mei was busy in the kitchen. Seeing them approach, she smiled and asked, Finished cleaning? Yes, thank you for your help, Sister Zhu. Lin Wanqiao handed back the broom. We'd like to ask where the village chief's house is. We want to talk to him about repairing our house. Jume pointed toward the eastern end of the village. Leave the educated youth point and head east. You'll see the tallest poplar tree. The village chief's home is right beside it. His name is Gao Monsong. He's easygoing. Thank you, Sister Zhu. Lin Wanqiu pulled 2 white rabbit cream candies out of her pocket and pressed them into Zhu Mei's hand. Have some candy. Thanks for helping us. Zhu Mei was taken aback and quickly tried to decline. No, you just got here. I can't take your things. Please take them, Sister Zhu, Lin Wanqiu said with a smile. We'll need your help with plenty more things later. Zhao Yakan chimed in. Yes, Sister Zhu. It's nothing expensive, just a token of our gratitude. Zhu Mei looked at the candies in her palm and a soft smile spread across her face. These 2 girls really knew how to behave. She stopped refusing and tucked the candies into her pocket. All right, I'll take them. By the way, if you need furniture, go find Carpenter Wang in the village. He's very skilled, though he has a bit of a stubborn temper. Speak politely to him. His house is right next to the village chief's, so you can't miss it. Got it. Thank you so much, Sister Zhu. After thanking her, the 2 turned and walked out of the courtyard. Should we ask Xinjinian to come along? Zhao Yakan suddenly said as they neared the backyard gate. He lives in the back too. He'll definitely need to talk to the village chief about the house repairs. Going together might save us some trouble. Lin Wanqiu thought it over and agreed. You're right. Let's ask him. They walked to Xinjinian's door and knocked gently. Comrade Xin, are you in? After a moment, the door opened. Xinjinian stood there in a white shirt dusted with grime, apparently tidying his room. What is it? His tone remained plain. We're going to the village chief's place to talk about repairing our houses, Lin Wanqiu explained. Would you like to come with us? Xinjinian looked surprised that they would invite him, then nodded. All right. Zhao Yakan spoke up. This is our first visit to the village chief's house. Should we bring something? Isn't it rude to show up empty-handed? Lin Wanqiu shared the same thought and nodded. We ought to bring something. Country folk value these customs. Showing up with nothing would look insincere. Xinjinian agreed. My father once said you ought to observe proper etiquette when asking others for favors. But what should we take? Zhao Yakan frowned. All I have in my luggage are clothes, books, and some snacks. Lin Wanqiu thought for a moment. I have a jean of brown sugar. My aunt gave me 2 jean before I left. Brown sugar was a precious commodity in the countryside and made a fine gift. Zhao Yakan's eyes lit up. I can bring a piece of printed cotton fabric. My mother packed 2 pieces of dacron for me to make new clothes. One would make a nice gift for the women in the village chief's family. They both looked toward Xinjinian. He pulled a flat metal tin out of his canvas bag. I'll bring this. Zhao Yakan leaned over curiously. Printed on the tin were the characters for Great Production cigarettes. You brought cigarettes? She looked surprised. You don't seem like a smoker. I can't smell any tobacco on you at all. Xinjinian tucked the tin back into his pocket and said calmly, My father told me to bring them. He said they'd be useful for building connections out in the countryside. Lin Wanqiu understood. Clearly Xinjinian's father was quite worldly and had thought of even this detail. Soon the 3 arrived near the village chief's home. Sure enough, they spotted the tall poplar tree and a wattle-fenced courtyard beneath it. This must be the village chief's house. Carpenter Wang's home stood right next door, with piles of lumber stacked outside, easy to recognize. This is it, Lin Wanqiu pointed at the wattle-fenced courtyard. Let's go in. She stepped forward and pushed open the loosely latched gate, calling out, Is anyone home? We are newly arrived educated youth looking for the village chief. The gate creaked open. Chickens in the yard flapped their wings and scattered in alarm. Right after Lin Wanqiu called out, a woman's head poked out from the kitchen doorway. She was in her 40s, wearing a patched blue cotton jacket, her hair neatly combed. Her sharp eyes took in the items in the 3 visitors' hands at once. Why, you must be the new educated youth. The woman hurried over with a warm smile. Come right in. I'm the village chief's wife. You can call me Aunt Hohot. Zhao Yakan smiled and nodded quickly. Hello, Aunt Hohot. We are educated youth sent down to the countryside. We'd like a word with Uncle Village Chief. You're looking for my husband? He's inside the house. Aunt Hohot cheerfully took the gifts from their hands, holding the brown sugar, printed fabric, and cigarette tin against her chest. She led them toward the main room while calling Monsang. Come out. The new educated youth are here. The main room had adobe walls and a neatly swept earthen floor. A chipped lacquered immortal table stood in the center, surrounded by 4 long wooden stools. Aunt Hohot set the gifts down on the corner of the table and briskly wiped off the stools. Sit. I'll pour you each a bowl of water. They had barely sat down when a stout middle-aged man stepped out from the inner room. He wore a gray Zhongshan suit with worn cuffs. This was Gao Monsang, the village chief. His gaze swept over the gifts his wife had not yet put away. A flicker of satisfaction crossed his eyes, though he kept a polite smile on his face. So you're the new educated youth comrades. Please sit. You shouldn't have brought anything. No need for such formality. Lin Wanqiu stood up and spoke respectfully. Uncle Village Chief, it is only proper for us to pay a visit on our first time here. Gao Monsang waved his hand and sat in the main seat. I hear you have something to discuss with me? Yes, Lin Wanqiu stated their business. The houses in the front of the educated youth point are full, so the three of us have been assigned to the old rooms in the backyard. The roof leaks and there are no heated kongbeds built. We were hoping you could arrange for some villagers to help repair them. We will cover all labor and material costs ourselves. Gao Monsang rubbed his fingers together and fell into thought before replying. Technically, the production team ought to provide proper housing for educated youth sent down to the countryside. But spring planting is underway. Everyone is busy earning work points out in the fields, and no one can easily spare the time. He shifted his tone. Still, if you are in urgent need of shelter, I can round up a few hands for you. But you will need to offer some compensation. These folks would lose work points skipping farm work. Their families cannot afford that loss, can they? Qin Jinyan nodded at once. That is only fair. Compensation is appropriate for taking them away from their work. That settles it then. Gao Monsang smiled. If you provide meals for the workers, pay 30 cents per day per person. If you do not provide meals, pay 40 cents. Villagers have spare tiles and adobe bricks at home. If you do not wish to source them yourself, we can get them from the village stock. You will pay for whatever you use. Lin Wanqiu pressed for further details. Besides fixing the roof and building the kongbeds, we would like to build a small kitchen beside each room. They do not need to be large, just enough for a stove and to store seasonings. There are too many people at the main educated youth point. Separate kitchens will avoid trouble. She added specifically, please fit doors on the kitchens so we can lock them. Gao Monsang raised his eyebrows. Building extra kitchens will require more materials and labor, so that will add to the cost. We have no issue with the expense. Lin Wanqiu glanced at Zhao Yakin and Qin Jinyan. Both nodded in agreement. She turned back to Gao Monsang. As long as the work is done properly, we will pay whatever is needed. Very well. Let me give you an estimate. Gao Monsang counted on his fingers. Roof repairs, 3 kongbeds, plus 1 small kitchen for each of you. Materials and labor combined will come to roughly 15 yuan per person. 15 yuan was no small sum for educated youth, yet it was well worth it to avoid living in leaky rooms. Lin Wanqiu and the other 2 readily agreed. Thank you, Uncle Village Chief. We will go with your estimate. I will send men over to start work tomorrow, Gao Monsang confirmed. He gestured toward the neighboring house. For furniture, go see Carpenter Wang. He does fine work. He has finished kong cabinets, tables, and so on. You can pay him with grain, money, or grain coupons. Have him make the doors and windows for your new kitchens too. He can measure dimensions tomorrow together with the work crew. All right, we understand. Once their business was finished, Aunt Hohot carried over 3 bowls of sweetened syrup. Here, have some freshly brewed sugar water. They took the bowls and thanked her. The warm sweet drink spread comfort through their bodies. Won't you stay for dinner? Aunt Hohot warmly invited them. I'm almost done cooking. Zhao Yakin quickly shook her head. Thank you, Auntie, but the Educated Youth Point is holding a welcome dinner for us this evening. We ought to go back for that. Very well. Come eat with us another time. Aunt Hohot did not press them. She walked them to the gate and reminded them Carpenter Wang lives right next door. This is a good time to see him. He has just come back from the fields. After thanking the village chief and his wife, the 3 walked next door. When they reached Carpenter Wang's gate, they saw a man in his 50s chopping firewood. Dressed in a rough-spun short jacket, his arms were muscular. This was Carpenter Wang. Excuse me, are you Carpenter Wang? Zhao Yakin stepped forward and asked. Carpenter Wang looked up. Seeing the 3 neatly dressed young people, he smiled. That's me. You must be the new educated youth? Yes, Lin Wanqiu nodded. We would like to buy some furniture from you, and also have you make doors and windows for our new kitchens. Come inside and talk. Carpenter Wang set down his axe and led them into his courtyard. Logs were stacked everywhere. In the corner sat a newly finished wooden chest, smoothly polished. What furniture do you need? Carpenter Wang showed them to the shed where he kept finished pieces. These kong cabinets are ready-made. They are camphor wood, good for keeping moths away. Each costs 30 jin of coarse grain, or 5 yuan. A square table plus 2 stools costs 20 jin of coarse grain, or 3 yuan. Lin Wanqiu and the others examined the goods. The king cabinets were modest-sized, but sturdily built, with drawers that slid open smoothly. The square table and stools were perfectly suited for their rooms. We will take 3 Kong cabinets and 1 set of table and stools, Lin Wanqiu said. Also, please make 1 door and 1 window for each kitchen. Use solid quality timber. I will use pine for the doors and windows, it is very sturdy, Carpenter Wang replied. I will come to the Educated Youth Point tomorrow to take measurements, and finish everything the day after tomorrow. That will be 5 yuan total. Is that acceptable? That sounds good. When would you like the furniture delivered? Please send them over once our house repairs are finished. Consider it done, Carpenter Wang agreed readily. Each of the 3 paid a 5 yuan deposit. Thank you, Carpenter Wang. When they left Carpenter Wang's yard, the sun hung low in the west. Golden evening light spilled over the village dirt road, stretching their shadows long behind them. It's all finally sorted out. Zhao Yakin let out a relieved breath and smiled. I didn't expect things to go so smoothly. The village chief and Carpenter Wang are really nice people. Yes, Lin Wanqiu also felt a weight lift. Work starts tomorrow. In a few days we will have decent places to live. Shen Jinyan had stayed mostly quiet. Now he spoke up. Do you have enough money and grain coupons? I can lend you some if you need. Lin Wanqiu blinked, then smiled. We have enough. What about you, Yakin? I'm fine too, Zhao Yakin said. Good then. Shen Jinyan nodded and fell silent again. They headed back toward the Educated Youth Point. Villagers passing by stared curiously at them. Several aunties smiled and called out, Are you the new educated youth? Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakin smiled and replied. Shen Jinyan said almost nothing, merely nodding occasionally. Back in the backyard, they tidied up briefly and turned their thoughts to the welcome dinner ahead. Should we bring something when we go to the front for dinner? Zhao Yakin brought it up first. Growing up in a military compound, bringing gifts when visiting was second nature to her. I have 2 cans of luncheon meat in my luggage. Should I take one? Lin Wanqiu frowned. Canned meat would draw too much attention. We only just arrived and do not know the dynamics among the educated youth. Showing off such a precious item right away could cause trouble. She recalled what she had seen earlier in the main hall when visiting Jumei. The planned meal only included a tiny scrap of meat, 2 eggs, and 1 Chinese cabbage. When I went to see Sisters Yu earlier, I saw what they are preparing. Just a small piece of meat, 2 eggs, and 1 cabbage. If we bring canned meat, we will stand out too much. People might even take advantage of us. Zhao Yakin realized her mistake at once. You are right. I did not think it through. At home canned meat was nothing special, but I forgot how different life is out here. She had never lacked such luxuries growing up and had not considered the risk of appearing wealthy. Lin Wanqiu herself was hardly an expert on social maneuvers. Ever since the dream on the train, however, she had felt the need to be cautious. She glanced at Shen Jinyan. What do you think? Shen Jinyan thought briefly. I have a can of orange fruit. That might work. Though fruit cans were still rare, they were less ostentatious than meat cans. Orange fruit is fine, Lin Wanqiu nodded. But it should not count as only your gift. Let the 3 of us contribute together. Zhao Yakin agreed at once. Exactly. How much is it? Yakin and I will split the cost with you. 1 yuan and 20 cents for the can, Shen Jinyan said. Here is 50 cents from me. Lin Wanqiu pulled 50 cents from her pocket and handed it over. You provide the food coupon, so we should cover more of the cash. Zhao Yakin also pulled out 50 cents. And 50 cents from me. That makes the full amount. Shen Jinyan tried to decline. Each of us only needs to pay 40 cents. Don't argue. Lin Wanqiu pressed the money into his hand. None of us are very experienced with these things. There is no sense making everything awkward haggling over a few jiao. Shen Jinyan looked at the money in his palm, then at their open-faced expressions. He accepted it silently. I will get the can. He walked back to his room and soon returned holding a glass fruit can printed with bright illustrations of oranges. It looked appetizing. The 3 walked together toward the main dining hall. Several long-term educated youth were also heading there. They greeted the newcomers warmly, though their eyes held clear curiosity. Inside the dining hall, more than a dozen people sat around 2 joined long tables. Jumei was busy by the stove. Seeing them arrive, she smiled and came over. There you are. We have been waiting for you. Sister Zhu, we brought something. Lin Wanqiu gestured toward the can in Shen Jinyan's hand. This is a can of oranges contributed by all three of us to add to the meal. Jumei's eyes lit up. She took the can. You shouldn't have brought anything. Though she spoke that way, she quickly fetched a small knife, pried open the lid, poured the orange segments onto a plate, and set it in the center of the table. Everyone try this. Oranges brought by our new educated youth. A murmur of surprise swept through the room. Many gazes fixed on the bright orange fruit on the plate, filled with longing. In this materially strained countryside, canned fruit was a genuine luxury. Sit down, Jumei urged them. We're about to eat. Lin Wanqiu and her companions took an empty spot diagonally across from Cheng Jixia. Cheng Jixia sat beside another male-educated youth named Lu Changshan. They had been whispering together. Spotting the newcomers, Cheng Jixia put on a bright smile and patted the empty seat beside her. Wanqiu, Yakin, come sit over here. We can chat more easily. Lin Wanqiu pretended not to hear and smoothed the hem of her blouse. Zhao Yakin turned away instead and struck up a conversation with a young woman with braids. Hello, my name is Zhao Yakin. I just arrived. The young woman smiled shyly. My name is Li Hong. I have been here almost a year. Cheng Jixia's smile froze. Displeasure flickered across her face, which she quickly masked. Back in her factory workers' compound, she had always been able to win people over. Yet these three newcomers had resisted her overtures and stuck together. Shen Jinyan never glanced at Cheng Jixia at all. He pulled a thick book from his pocket and began reading, oblivious to the lively atmosphere around him. Lin Wanqiu quietly observed the others in the room. Most were young people around 20, their faces marked by the hardships of rural life. Just then, the dark-skinned, sturdy young man who had arrived with them stood up. He walked back to the male-educated youth dormitory and soon returned carrying a short section of cured sausage. Sister Zhu, I brought something too. He handed the sausage over. My mother packed this for me. Please add it to the meal for everyone. The sausage was only as thick as a finger, glistening with oil. Well smoked, it was a substantial gift in these hard times. Jumei smiled as she took it. Comrade Bai, that is very thoughtful of you. Zhao Yakin leaned close to Lin Wanqiu and whispered, he has such dark skin, yet his surname is Bai, meaning white. The other diners watched Comrade Bai with approving eyes. By contrast, the male-educated youth with glasses remained seated. He merely toyed with his chopsticks, acting as if nothing was happening. Ma Zhaodi, Cheng Jixia, and Lu Changshan also stayed in their seats. Ma Zhaodi even curled her lips slightly, thinking the gesture unnecessary. Presently everyone was assembled. Jumei carried the food to the tables. Each person got one corn, meal steamed bun the size of a fist, a large bowl of wild, vegetable egg drop soup, with barely any egg among the green greens. A big plate of cabbage stir, fried with thinly sliced pork, and a small dish of dark pickled vegetables. Finally, she set out the orange fruit and sliced sausage. She spoke loudly so everyone could hear. This can of oranges was brought jointly by Lin Wanqiu, Zhao Yakin, and Shen Jinyan. The sausage comes from Baiyang. Please enjoy these treats. The eyes of the educated youth lit up instantly, and their gazes toward Lin Wanqiu and her three companions grew much warmer. Amid such plain meals, the sweet tang of canned oranges and the savory aroma of cured sausage were undoubtedly a rare treat. Thank you so much, new educated youth. That cured sausage looks absolutely delicious. After enduring an entire winter, the veteran educated youth had survived day after day on corn mush paired with pickled vegetables, with an occasional stir, fried Chinese cabbage. Seeing the spread laid out today, everyone swallowed hard. Lin Wanqiu watched the scene and quietly let out a breath of relief. Thankfully, she hadn't brought canned meat. Things had turned out just right this way. They'd shown their goodwill without drawing too much unwanted attention. The chatter in the mess hall gradually died down. Zhou Jijun stood up and cleared his throat. Hold off on picking up your chopsticks for a moment. We have many new comrades here, so let's each introduce ourselves first. That way we can look out for one another down the line. He went first. My name is Zhou Jijun. I've been sent down to the countryside for 6 years and serve as the leader of this educated youth settlement. Come find me anytime if you run into trouble or don't know how to handle something. Next came Jumei. She wiped grease from her hands and smiled. I'm Jumei. I came from Lin Province and have been here 5 years. I take care of miscellaneous matters for the female educated youth. If any of the girls have issues they'd rather not bring up to team leader Zhou, you can talk to me. After that, the veteran educated youth introduced themselves one after another. Chen Hong, from Jin City, 1 year in the countryside. Su Weihong, from Hang City, 3 years. Wu Xuejuan, from Gui City, 4 years. Names were called out one by one. Lin Wanqiu tried her best to memorize them, though she only formed faint impressions of those with louder voices. When it was the new educated youth's turn, Lin Wanqiu stood first. I'm Lin Wanqiu, from Jing City. Zhao Yakan rose right after her. Zhao Yakan, from Hu City. Shen Jinyan's voice remained calm and unemotional. Shen Jinyan, from Jing City. Cheng Jixia straightened her back deliberately, speaking in a bright, lively tone. I'm Cheng Jixia, from He City. Please take good care of me from now on. Lu Changshan stood up immediately behind her. Lu Changshan. I'm from the same place as Jixia. Baiyang, He City. The young man wearing glasses pushed his frames up his nose. Sun Jiming, from Jin City. Last was Ma Zhaodi, her voice soft and quiet. Ma Zhaodi, from Gui City. By the time the round of introductions finished, she could not recall every name, but she had a rough idea of everyone's hometowns and personalities. Zhou Jijun waved his hand. All right, now that we all know each other, dig in. The moment he finished speaking, chopsticks rained down onto the table. There had only been a small length of cured sausage to begin with, and it vanished almost immediately. Those who managed to grab a piece quickly stuffed it into their mouths, while those who missed out could only smack their lips in disappointment. The slivers of meat in the stir-fried cabbage were fought over fiercely. Lin Wanqiu only managed to pick up a chopstick of cabbage, not catching a single fleck of meat. The canned oranges met the same fate. The bright orange segments were soon gone, leaving only a pool of syrup at the bottom of the bowl. Jiumei handed out bowls of egg drop soup to everyone. Wild herbs lent a slight bitter taste to the broth, and the tiny shreds of egg yolk scattered like stars. Still a rare source of animal protein. Among the new educated youth, Baiyang managed to snatch a small piece of sausage. Sun Jiming kept his head down, focused on gnawing his corn bun. Cheng Jixia, Ma Zhaodi, and Lu Changshan got nothing at all. Cheng Jixia's expression darkened at once. Seeing the empty plates, an awkward look crossed Zhumei's face. She picked up the empty canned orange bowl and held it out toward Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakan. Wanqiu, Yakan, you two brought the canned fruit and barely had any yourselves. How about splitting this leftover syrup between you? Orange pulp residue clung to the rim of the bowl, proof that many chopsticks had touched it. Lin Wanqiu felt a twinge of distaste inside, yet she smiled and shook her head. Sister Zhumei, we brought the canned oranges for everyone to sample. Let everyone share the syrup. Zhao Yakan and Shen Jinyan nodded in agreement. Exactly, it's more fun when everyone shares. Someone quickly chimed in. Don't mind if I do. They took the bowl, sipped from the edge, then passed it to the next person. That small amount of sweet syrup made its way around more than 20 people until not a drop remained. In the countryside, where sugar was scarce, even syrup was precious. Lin Wanqiu bit into her cornmeal bun. The coarse texture scratched her throat, and she could barely swallow without washing it down with egg drop soup. Here, any bit of meat was a luxury. After the meal, Zhou Jijun stood up once more. Don't leave just yet. I have an announcement to make. Cooking duties at the settlement have always been rotated in groups of 3. Now that we have new arrivals, we need to rearrange the schedule. As soon as he finished speaking, Shen Jinyan stood up. The 3 of us won't join the rotation. He gestured toward Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakan. We've set up our own stove out in the backyard and will cook for ourselves from now on. Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakan stood and nodded immediately. Yes, we'll prepare our own meals. Zhou Jijun froze, clearly caught off guard, but he did not object. Very well. Cooking separately does have its conveniences. Now for the private plots. The production team allocates 1 fin of land per person. Previously, everyone farmed and shared the harvest together. Since you're cooking independently, you'll need to clear a new plot beside the yard to farm for yourselves. You'll also need to gather your own firewood. There's a well in the yard for water. Draw it as you need. That's no problem at all, the 3 replied in unison. And your grain rations, Zhou Jijun added. Each new arrival gets 20 jin. Early tomorrow morning, the 3 of you meet at the mess hall and come with me to the brigade office to collect them. Once all matters were settled, Lin Wanqiu and her 2 companions headed back to the backyard. As they walked past Cheng Jixia, Lin Wanqiu caught sight of her biting her lip, her brows furrowed tight with resentment and calculation in her eyes. Back in the backyard, Zhao Yakan finally let out a long breath. It's definitely better cooking on our own. I've never seen such a scramble for food before today. Life down here is going to be tough. We'll get used to it eventually, Lin Wanqiu forced a faint smile. Meanwhile, in the mess hall out front, Cheng Jixia stared at the three retreating figures, a heavy weight settling in her chest. Before coming to the countryside, she had laid careful plans. Lin Wanqiu seemed gentle, and Zhao Yakin appeared to come from a well-off family. If she won them over, she could mooch food and supplies and benefit from their connections. Xin Jinyan was the target she had set her sights on most. He was handsome and evidently from a good background. If she could marry him, she would never need to struggle for the rest of her life. But now the three of them had banded together and decided to cook separately, eating apart from the rest. How would she get close to them? Especially Xin Jinyan, her chances to interact with him had been cut in half. Cheng Jixia clenched her fists. Her family had many children. Her father favored sons. Her elder brother had been given a job, while her elder sister had been married off in exchange for betrothal gifts. If she hadn't been good at coaxing people, claiming she could meet high-ranking officials' children in the countryside, she would have been married off for money long ago. She only had 20 yuan to her name. The new clothes she wore had been obtained by flattering the factory director's daughter. Though she looked put together on the surface, she had nothing to fall back on. She had hoped to rely on Xin Jinyan to live an easier life, but now Cheng Jixia's gaze sharpened. She refused to believe she could not win Xin Jinyan over with her wits. As for Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakin, if they stood in her way, she would show them no mercy. Lu Chaoshan noticed her foul mood and leaned in to ask quietly, "Jixia, what's wrong?" "Nothing." Cheng Jixia suppressed her swirling thoughts and forced a smile. "I just think those three are rather unsociable. It may be difficult getting along with them later." Lu Chaoshan quickly agreed. "Exactly. They act special the moment they arrive. Do they really think they're delicate young ladies just because they're from big cities?" Cheng Jixia did not respond. Her mind raced as she plotted. She needed to find a way to make Xin Jinyan see that she was the best match for him. The sky was just turning pale when Lin Wanqiu woke up. Rooster crowing drifted through the window, and the morning air carried the damp chill unique to the countryside. She rubbed her eyes, remembering she had roof repairs to oversee, and quickly got up to wash. Beside the backyard well sat a rough stone slab. Lin Wanqiu splashed cold water on her face, and the icy jolt woke her fully. Returning to her room, she rolled up her bedding. Tiles would be lifted during the repairs, and dust was bound to fall. It was safer to put everything away. She had just finished tidying when male voices and the clink of tools echoed from outside. Lin Wanqiu hurried out to find several men standing in the yard carrying tile cutters, shoulder poles, and bundles of new tiles. At their head was a young man in his 20s, with tanned skin and broad shoulders. "You must be the educated youth whose house needs fixing," the young man grinned, revealing white teeth when he spotted Lin Wanqiu. "I'm Wang Daju. The village chief sent us." "Yes, thank you for coming to help," Lin Wanqiu replied promptly. She pointed to the buildings on either side of the yard. "The two east rooms and the west room all have leaky roofs that need mending. We also need 3 brick beds built, plus a small kitchen attached to each building." Wang Dazha walked around the houses to inspect them and nodded. "The roofs are straightforward. We just swap in new tiles. The brick beds will be sturdy once we plaster them with yellow mud mixed with straw. As for the kitchens," he stroked his chin, "the village doesn't have many spare tiles left. We can build the walls out of adobe and cover the roofs with thatch. It will block wind and rain well enough, even if it looks plain." "That's perfectly fine. Function matters most." Zhao Yakin and Xin Jinyan stepped outside and nodded in agreement. They only wanted a comfortable place to live as soon as possible and cared nothing for appearances. "Oh right," Lin Wanqiu suddenly remembered. Master Wang the carpenter should come soon to measure the door and window frames for the kitchens. Wang Daju replied easily. "You go take care of your business. I'll pass the message on when he arrives. We need to start on the roofs first. Move your belongings inside so they don't get covered in dust." "Understood." The three went back inside to gather their trunks and bundles, moving them to the corner of the yard and covering everything with cloth. Once all their things were packed away, Zhao Yakin glanced at the sky. "It's about time we head to the front yard. We can't miss collecting the grain rations." They walked toward the mess hall. Zhou Jijun was already waiting at the gate, alongside Bai Yang, Sun Jiming, Cheng Jixia, Lu Changshan, and Ma Zhaodi. "Sorry for keeping you waiting," Lin Wanqiu said apologetically. "No worries, we've only just gathered." Zhou Jijun waved his hand. "Let's go. Accountant Zhou at the brigade office is waiting for us." Cheng Jixia immediately broke into a warm, amiable smile. I'm sure Wanchio and the others were delayed tidying up their rooms. We're all new educated youth. We ought to be understanding of each other. As she spoke, her gaze drifted toward Shinjinyan, hoping to show how thoughtful she was. Shinjinyan stared straight ahead, acting as if he had not heard a word. Lin Wanchio and Zhao Yakin had no desire to engage in conversation and simply followed Zhou Jijun toward the brigade office. The brigade office stood in the center of the village, a row of blue brick buildings with a wooden sign hanging at the entrance reading Xiangyang Production Brigade. The accountant, an elderly man in his 50s wearing reading glasses, sat inside hunched over his ledger writing. Accountant Zhou, I've brought the new educated youth, Zhou Jijun called out. Accountant Zhou lifted his head, adjusted his glasses, and looked them over slowly. Ah, the new educated youth. Here to collect your grain rations, I suppose. He pointed toward the corner. 20 jin of cornmeal and 20 jin of sweet potatoes each. Everything is right here. Count it carefully. Sacks were untied, releasing the faint natural aroma of grain from golden cornmeal. Beside them, bamboo baskets held plump sweet potatoes, still coated in damp soil. Thank you, Accountant Zhou. Everyone thanked him. Sign your names in this register. Accountant Zhou held out a ledger and a fountain pen. The new educated youth signed one after another. Lin Wanchio wrote her name neatly. The brigade has a wooden handcart. If you struggle carrying everything, you can borrow it. Accountant Zhou gestured toward the cart outside. Just bring it back once you're done. We're extremely grateful. This solved a huge problem. 20 jin of cornmeal plus 20 jin of sweet potatoes per person amounted to a heavy load for 8 people. Carrying it all by hand would be impossible. Bai Yang stepped forward. I'm strong. I'll pull the cart and everyone can push from behind. He began lifting sacks onto the cart without hesitation, moving quickly. Thank you so much, Bai Yang, Lin Wanchio said gratefully. It's nothing, Bai Yang smiled honestly. On the walk back, the cart wheels creaked over the dirt road. Cheng Jixia slowed her pace, seizing the chance to walk alongside Shinjinyan, her voice soft and honeyed. Comrade Shin, you're cooking separately in the backyard? Can you cook? How about we team up? I'm quite good at preparing meals. Shinjinyan kept walking without turning his head, his tone cold as ice. No need. I can cook. Cheng Jixia's smile froze, yet she refused to give up. It would be much easier to share work. You chop firewood and I tend the stove, it wouldn't be convenient. Shinjinyan cut her off. He quickened his steps to walk beside Lin Wanchio, leaving Cheng Jixia trailing behind. Cheng Jixia's face flushed bright red, stung by embarrassment and anger. Her eyes grew hot. Lu Chongshan, who witnessed this, muttered quietly. What's wrong with him? Turning down kindness like that. Cheng Jixia shot him a sharp look and said nothing. Zhou Jijun walked at the front and saw the whole exchange, shaking his head quietly to himself. As they neared the educated youth settlement, Zhou Jijun turned to Lin Wanchio and her companions. Your stoves in the backyard won't be finished for a while. For the next couple of days, you can join everyone for meals at the front mess hall. Zhao Yakin shook her head at once. We appreciate the offer, team leader Zhou, but I brought dry provisions. We can make do. Lin Wanchio and Shinjinyan nodded in agreement. They had not forgotten the chaotic scramble for food the previous night. Sticking to their own dry foods seemed far safer. Zhou Jijun did not press them. Very well, arrange things as you see fit. Come find me if you need help with anything. Once they reached the settlement, Bai Yang pulled the cart straight to the backyard gate. I'll help you carry everything inside. Bai Yang hoisted a sack of cornmeal and walked into the yard. We can manage on our own. Bai Yang, Lin Wanchio hurried after him. It's fine, I'm already here. He set the sack down against the wall and went back for the sweet potatoes. Shinjinyan also lent a hand, carrying another sack of cornmeal inside. Cheng Jixia stood at the yard gate, watching the three work smoothly together, and a sharp twinge of jealousy pricked her heart. Jixia, let's move our own grain back, Lu Chongshan nudged her arm. Cheng Jixia snapped out of her daze, pushing her irritation aside and forcing a smile. Let's go. Yet darkness lingered beneath that smile, a feeling she could barely hide. Inside the backyard, Lin Wanchio looked at the grain stacked against the wall, then up at the workers busy repairing the roof, and took a deep breath. Roof repairs were underway, grain rations collected, and the kitchens would soon be built. Life in the countryside was harsh, yet little by little, they were settling into stability. The sun climbed high overhead, and work on the backyard roof continued. The shouts of Wang Daju's crew and the clatter of tiles filled the air. Lin Wanchio's stomach rumbled loudly. Yakin, are you hungry? Lin Wanchio called toward Zhao Yakin's door. Starving, Zhao Yakin opened the door, looking helpless. The stoves haven't been built yet. We can't even boil water, so all we have is dry food. Lin Wanchio nodded. I have a tin of biscuits my aunt gave me in my luggage. Shall we go to the front yard to borrow hot water to eat them with? Sounds good. It'll be better than eating them dry, Zhao Yakin agreed readily. They grabbed their enamel mugs and headed to the mess hall. The educated youth on cooking duty that day was a young woman with short straight hair and a faded blue blouse, bent over adding firewood to the stove. Excuse me, could we borrow some hot water? Zhao Yakin stepped forward and asked politely. The young woman looked up. She recognized them as the new arrivals who had brought canned oranges the previous day and broke into a gentle smile. I'm Su Weihong. You must be Lin Wanchio and Zhao Yakin. That's right, Comrade Su, the two greeted her. We're hoping to borrow hot water. Lin Wanchio lifted her enamel mug. Our stove in the backyard isn't ready yet, and we want to soak our dry food. No problem at all, Su Weihong replied warmly. The water will boil any minute. Take a seat on the bench, and I'll fill your mugs straight away. She gestured to the wooden bench beside her. Those canned oranges you brought yesterday were such a treat for all of us. You're too kind. It was just a small gesture. Lin Wanchio smiled and thanked her, sitting down on the bench with Zhao Yakin. Moments later the water boiled, and Su Weihong filled both mugs. Careful, it's hot. Thank you, Comrade Su. They accepted the warm mugs, comfort spreading through them. Don't mention it. Feel free to come borrow water anytime. Su Weihong smiled and turned back to her work. Returning to the backyard, Zhao Yakin pulled Lin Wanchio into her room and secretly dug a tin can printed with red peonies out from deep inside her luggage. Look what I brought. Lin Wanchio leaned closer and her eyes lit up. Malted milk extract. You actually have this. Malted milk was rare in cities and incredibly precious out in the countryside. My mother snuck it into my bag. Zhao Yakin opened the can, releasing a sweet fragrance. Here, I'll fix you a cup. I can't accept something this valuable, Lin Wanchio hesitated. Don't be so formal with me. Zhao Yakin scooped 2 spoonfuls into Lin Wanchio's mug and poured hot water to stir it. You warned me not to bring canned meat and saved me from drawing unwanted attention. This is nothing in comparison. She mixed a cup for herself too. I wouldn't share this with just anyone. Lin Wanchio saw her sincere expression and stopped declining. Then I'll get something to share too. She walked back to her room and carried over the tin biscuit box. We can eat these together. Zhao Yakin opened it to reveal neatly arranged sesame soda crackers. She pulled out an oil, paper parcel from her luggage next. Inside were several slightly crushed peach cakes. Have these too. They got jostled on the trip, but they still taste the same. Peach cakes. Lin Wanchio was delighted. These are my favorite. I don't mind that they're broken at all. The two sat on the edge of the bed, passing biscuits and peach cakes between them, sipping warm malted milk and enjoying their simple meal. Inside the crude earthen house, those simple snacks somehow tasted almost luxurious. Come to think of it, Lin Wanchio suddenly remembered something. I couldn't fit everything in my luggage when I left home, so my family sent a parcel to the town post office. I need to go collect it. Do you want to come along? Zhao Yakin's eyes lit up. Let's go together. I've got a parcel too. They set down their enamel mugs and got ready to head out. Lin Wanchio recalled reading in the book that there was an ox cart traveling to town from the village. She hurried to find Wang Daju to ask about it. Wang Daju told her a cart would leave right after lunch, waiting at the village entrance with a one-way fare of 10 cents. Perfect. We'll head straight to the village gate once we finish eating. Lin Wanchio returned and told Zhao Yakin. The two quickly washed their mugs, locked the door, and rushed toward the village entrance. Beneath the old locust tree at the village gate stood a creaky ox cart. The driver, an elderly man with graying hair, sat on the cart shaft smoking a dry tobacco pipe. When he saw them approaching, he grinned. You must be the new educated youth comrades. Good day, Grandpa. Lin Wanchio greeted him with a smile. We'd like a ride to town. My surname is Zhou. You can call me Grandpa Zhou. Grandpa Zhou tapped the ash from his pipe. The fare to town is 10 cents one way, 20 cents for a round trip. Hop on. We'll leave shortly once a few more passengers arrive. Thank you, Grandpa Zhou. They paid the fare and climbed onto the cart. Right after them, 3 women carrying baskets walked over. These are the new educated youths, aren't they? Such pretty girls. A plump woman looked them over with undisguised curiosity. Their skin is so fair, nothing like the village girls around here. Indeed, they look like they stepped straight out of a painting, another woman agreed. Hello, aunts. Lin Wanxiu and Zhao Yakin greeted them politely with gentle smiles. Grandpa Zhou waited a few more minutes. Seeing no one else coming, he raised his whip. Off we go. The ox cart trundled slowly forward. The wheels rumbled and creaked across the dirt road. The three village women were very chatty and bombarded the two girls with questions. Where do you young comrades come from? What do your families do? I'm from Jing City, Lin Wanxiu replied warmly. She gave a vague account of her background. Just an ordinary family. My parents are factory workers. Zhao Yakin followed her lead. I'm from Hu City. My family is ordinary as well. She remembered Lin Wanxiu's warning and took care not to reveal that her family was well off. The women did not press for more details and turned to gossiping about village matters, whose hen had laid a double-yolked egg, which plot of land needed to be planted with beans, whose daughter-in-law had quarreled with her mother-in-law. Their chatter filled the air, creating a lively atmosphere. Lin Wanxiu and Zhao Yakin listened quietly, chiming in occasionally. They silently gathered information about the village from the women's casual conversation. The ox cart moved at a leisurely pace. Nearly an hour passed before they reached the town. The town was small, with a single main street stretching from east to west. Lining the road were a supply and marketing cooperative, a post office, a health clinic, and several general stores. Though modest, it was far busier than the village. We're here. The cooperative is down that way, and the post office is the third building ahead. Grandpa Zhou pointed out the directions. I'll wait for you right here at 5 this afternoon. Don't miss the cart. Thank you, Grandpa Zhou. They jumped down and looked at the bustling street in front of them. Shall we head to the post office first? Zhao Yakin asked. Let's go to the post office first, Lin Wanxiu nodded. Her gaze drifted toward the post office entrance not far away. Her family had written that the parcel held many items, most of which were winter cotton, padded clothes. The two of them would struggle to carry such heavy bundles on their own. An idea came to her. She pulled 2 white rabbit creamy candies out of her cloth satchel and walked back over to Grandpa Zhou. Grandpa Zhou, Lin Wanxiu held out the candies with a bright smile. Would it be possible for you to drive the ox cart over to the post office entrance? Our parcels are quite heavy, and we're afraid we won't manage carrying them. Grandpa Zhou's eyes lit up at the sight of the candies. White rabbit creamy candy was a rare treat out in the countryside. He quickly took them and carefully tucked them inside his jacket as if holding something precious. No trouble at all. I'm only waiting around here anyway. Climb back aboard and I'll drive you over. Thank you so much, Grandpa. Overjoyed, the two climbed back onto the ox cart. Zhao Yakin leaned close and whispered beside Lin Wanxiu's ear. You're so quick-witted. I never would have thought of that. Lin Wanxiu smiled. She had picked up this way of handling things from the novel she had dreamed about. The ox cart trundled slowly to the post office door. Lin Wanxiu and Zhao Yakin hopped down and walked straight inside. Comrade, we're here to collect parcels. Names are Lin Wanxiu and Zhao Yakin, Lin Wanxiu stated. The postal clerk rummaged on the shelves and soon dragged out 2 large, bulging parcels marked with clear address labels. Sign here. After signing the forms, they bent down to lift the parcels, but Grandpa Zhou had already stepped into the building. Let me handle those. He reached out, easily hefted both parcels, and carried them briskly out to the ox cart. These are awfully heavy. What good things have you got packed inside? Just winter clothes and some food, Lin Wanxiu said with a smile. Grandpa, we still need to do some shopping at the supply and marketing cooperative. Could you keep an eye on our parcels for us? Leave it to me. Grandpa Zhou patted his chest confidently. I'll wait for you under the old locust tree at the town entrance. Nothing will happen to your belongings. They thanked Grandpa Zhou. Lin Wanxiu paused at the post office doorway. I want to make a phone call home to let them know I arrived safely. Zhao Yakin's face lit up, then she hesitated. Long-distance calls aren't cheap. I was planning to send a telegram instead. It costs more, but hearing their voices makes it worthwhile. Lin Wanxiu could tell she missed her family and tugged gently at her arm. Why don't you make a call too? Speaking to your family will ease your mind. Zhao Yakin bit her lip and nodded. All right, I will. It feels silly admitting how homesick I am so soon after arriving. Long distance or local calls? Long distance. One to Hu City and one to Jing City, Lin Wanxiu replied. We'll connect Hu City first. The lines there are busy. The telephone operator dialed the number, shouted a few words into the mouthpiece, then turned to Zhao Yakin. Wait a moment. It might take time to route the call. Zhao Yakin clutched the hem of her tunic nervously, her eyes fixed on the black telephone. Lin Wanqiu comforted her. Don't be anxious. Just tell them you're doing well so they won't worry. About 15 minutes later, the telephone jingled. The operator called out, "You're connected. Pick up." Zhao Yakin hurried to grab the receiver, her voice trembling faintly. "Hello? Mom, is that you?" Her mother's urgent voice came through the line. Zhao Yakin nodded repeatedly as she listened, her eyes growing wet. She kept repeating, "I'm fine, life here isn't hard, don't worry about me." The call lasted only a few minutes. She wiped her tears several times, and her voice was thick with emotion when she hung up. "Feeling better now?" Lin Wanqiu handed her a handkerchief. Zhao Yakin sniffled and smiled sheepishly. "Yes. Hearing Mum nag me made me feel much lighter. It's your turn now." Lin Wanqiu took a deep breath and stepped up to the telephone. The operator turned the rotary dial with a series of sharp clicks as she dialed the number for Jing City. Back in Jing City, Lin Wanqiu's aunt had been waiting by the office telephone for days, afraid she would miss her niece's call. Ever since Lin Wanqiu's parents had been sent to a farm, the girl had not slept peacefully and had wasted away. Lin Wanqiu's uncle and aunt could not bear to see her suffer. After great effort, they arranged for her to be sent to a youth settlement not far from her parents. Still, they worried constantly. The telephone rang. Lin Wanqiu's aunt rushed to answer it. "Hello. Is that Wanqiu?" "Aunt, it's me." At the sound of the familiar voice, Lin Wanqiu's composure crumbled and her throat tightened. "You've arrived? You must be exhausted." Her aunt's voice shook. "Did you receive the parcel we sent? It has your favorite preserved meat and beef jerky, plus cotton, padded jackets we sewed for your mum and dad. Don't catch a chill. We got it just now." Lin Wanqiu held back her tears, trying to sound cheerful. "I'm settling in well. The other educated youths look after me. You don't need to fret." "That's wonderful news." Her aunt wiped away tears on her end of the line. "I also sent 50 yuan to you by post order. Collect it at the post office counter. Don't hold back on spending money, buy whatever you need. As for your parents, visit them if you get the chance. If not, don't push it. Above all, stay safe." "I understand." Lin Wanqiu's tears finally spilled over. "Aunt, please take good care of yourself and stop worrying about me all the time." "I will. You too." Her aunt offered a few more reminders before reluctantly ending the call. Lin Wanqiu set down the receiver, her eyes red-rimmed. Zhao Yakin walked over and patted her back softly. "I know how it feels. Speaking to family only makes you miss them more." "Exactly." Lin Wanqiu wiped her tears and smiled. "Let's head to the supply and marketing cooperative now, or Grandpa Zhou will start waiting too long." The cooperative was crowded. The shelves held cloth, farm tools, salt, sugar, and various daily necessities. The selection was limited, yet it stocked most essential goods. Shoppers milled around inside the supply and marketing cooperative. As Lin Wanqiu reached the kitchenware section, she watched a shop assistant struggling to lift an iron wok onto the shelf. The black glaze on the wok glinted under the light. Her eyes lit up at once. She grabbed Zhao Yakin's arm and hurried over. "Comrade, how much is this wok? Do you have more in stock? We'd like to buy several." The shop assistant was a middle-aged plump woman. Seeing their eagerness, she straightened up and smiled. "You must be the new educated youths. You're lucky. These just arrived today. We've been out of stock for 3 months." She pointed at the woks. The large 8-inch wok costs 3 yuan and 12 fin plus 1 industrial coupon. The smaller 6-inch wok is 2 yuan 30, 4 fin plus half an industrial coupon. "We're planning to cook for ourselves," Lin Wanqiu asked eagerly. "Which size would you recommend?" "If you ask me, the woman sized them up. Get one large and one small. You can set up 2 stove holes, one for stir, frying and one for cooking rice. It's very convenient." "Thank you, elder sister. We'll take 3 large ones and 3 small ones." She spoke the words, elder sister, in a sweet tone. The compliment softened the middle-aged shop assistant's expression immediately. "What a sweet, talking girl." The woman grinned widely. "Very well. 5 large woks came in, and we have exactly 3 small ones. I'll sell all of them to you." She quickly dragged out the remaining woks from under the shelf. Fresh stock, still warm from transport. Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakin promptly counted out the money and coupons. Each large wok cost 3.12 yuan plus 1 industrial coupon, 3 totaled 9.36 yuan and 3 coupons. Each small wok cost 2.34 yuan plus half an industrial coupon. 3 totaled 7.02 yuan and 1.5 coupons. They pulled their cash and industrial coupons and handed the exact amount to the assistant. They watched her stamp the receipt, relieved. Goods were not truly theirs until payment was made. After paying for the woks, Zhao Yakan copied Lin Wanqiu and spoke warmly. Elder sister, do you have thermos flasks? We want 3 thermos flasks. The shop assistant sighed. I'm afraid the last one sold early this morning. Lots of educated youths are moving down to the countryside, and thermoses are hard to come by. Lin Wanqiu thought fast. She took 3 white rabbit candies from her satchel and slipped them quietly into the woman's hand. Elder sister, please keep an eye out for us. Reserve some for the next shipment, and we'll definitely come to buy them. The assistant's eyes brightened as she held the candies. Though she worked at the cooperative, White Rabbit creamy candy was still a luxury. With a big family to feed, she rarely got to enjoy treats like this. She pulled Lin Wanqiu aside and lowered her voice. There's one slightly imperfect flask stored in the warehouse. The bamboo casing has a shallow scratch on the outside, but it works perfectly fine. And it doesn't require coupons. I was keeping it for a relative, but I can let you have it first if you don't mind the mark. We don't mind at all. Thank you so much, elder sister. Lin Wanqiu agreed quickly, afraid the woman would change her mind. 5 yuan, no coupons needed. The assistant turned and carried the thermos out of the storage room. There was indeed a faint scratch on the bamboo shell, but the glass liner was intact. Official thermoses normally cost 4 yuan 50 plus an industrial coupon. While this one was slightly pricier, similar thermoses could sell for 8 yuan on the black market, so it was still a good deal. Lin Wanqiu paid without delay. As they turned to leave with the thermos, the shop assistant called out to them. Wait a moment, girls. Lin Wanqiu and Zhao Yakan turned around. The woman pointed at the kitchen knives in the corner of the section. You've bought woks, but what will you cut food with? I suppose you haven't done much cooking. You can't prepare meals without a knife. The 2 girls slapped their foreheads. They had been so focused on buying woks that they completely forgot about knives. Their cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Thank you for reminding us, elder sister. How careless of us. It's all right. Everyone makes these mistakes when starting out on their own. The woman smiled and took a knife from the shelf. The steel blade shone brightly with a sharp edge. This is our best carbon steel kitchen knife, large-sized. It can even chop bones. 1 yuan 60 fin, no coupons required. We'll take 3. Lin Wanqiu replied immediately. 1 knife for each of the 3 educated youths. They paid and picked up the heavy knives. Zhao Yakan could not help saying, We're so grateful to you. We would have gone back unable to cut vegetables otherwise. The woman waved her hand. Don't mention it. If you run into any trouble running your household later, feel free to come ask me for advice. They thanked her again, then carried the woks, knives and thermos toward the condiment counter, sincerely thankful for the kind shop assistant. Soy sauce cost 12 finagine, vinegar 8 finagine, refined salt 15 finagine, and rapeseed oil 80 finagine. Rapeseed oil required oil coupons, which neither of them had. Elder sister, we don't have oil coupons. Could we trade industrial coupons instead? Lin Wanqiu smiled and showed her the coupons. These are quite valuable. Would that work? The shop assistant looked at the industrial coupons. They could be exchanged for bicycles and sewing machines, far more valuable than oil coupons. She thought for a second. I can do that. I'll use my monthly oil quota to trade with you. She took a small oil canister and poured 2 gin of rapeseed oil for them. This should last you a while. Since they had not brought containers, they spent 70 fin on 3 thick glass bottles, 20 fin each for the soy sauce and vinegar bottles, 30 fin for the oil bottle. They were sturdy and resistant to breaking. At the grocery counter, Lin Wanqiu spotted egg cakes and fruit sweets. She bought 1 gin of egg cakes for 80 fan and 6 liang of grain coupons, 2 gin of wrapped fruit hard candies for 1 yuan a gin plus 1 gin of sugar coupons, and 1 gin of white rabbit creamy candy for 1 yuan 60 fin plus 1 gin of sugar coupons. Zhao Yakan looked confused. Why buy so many sweets? When you interact with villagers or ask others for favors, offering a candy works better than endless polite words, Lin Wanqiu whispered. White rabbit candies attract too much attention. Ordinary fruit sweets are enough for small gestures of goodwill. Zhao Yakan understood at once and bought the same selection for herself. Their purchases piled up, woks, thermos, and glass bottles growing heavier by the minute. Lin Wanqiu spotted woven baskets stacked in the corner and pulled Zhao Yakin over. Let's buy 2 covered baskets to carry all our things. The covered baskets cost 80 fin each, 10 fin more than uncovered ones, but the lids hid their goods from sight and required no coupons. We should also get straw hats. Lin Wanqiu pointed to the hats hanging on the wall. You'll definitely need them working in the fields. 30 fin each, no coupons needed. Each picked a tightly woven straw hat that fit well. They placed all the food and condiments inside the baskets and closed the lids securely. The woks were stacked with the large ones at the bottom and small ones on top. The two carefully lifted the pile and walked toward the old locust tree at the town entrance. They saw Grandpa Zhou sitting beside the ox cart smoking long before they reached him. He stubbed out his pipe and hurried over to help when he saw them carrying the woks. Goodness me, have you cleared out the entire supply and marketing cooperative? Just some necessities for setting up house, Lin Wanqiu smiled. Please help us load them onto the cart. Grandpa Zhou lifted the woks onto the cart bed one by one, shaking his head. You city girls look delicate, but you sure get things done efficiently. Once all the goods were loaded onto the ox cart, Grandpa Zhou sat on the shaft smoking his pipe. Seeing the two girls standing nearby, he asked, Everything bought? Do you want to wander around town a bit longer? We still have time before departure. Lin Wanqiu glanced at the sun and smiled. Grandpa, we're going to grab a meal at the state-run restaurant nearby. We'll be back shortly. Could you keep watching our belongings? Off you go. Grandpa Zhou waved his hand. I'll stay here and look after everything. They walked along the main street toward the state-run restaurant. A rich aroma of meat drifted toward them from afar. The restaurant had a modest storefront. Inside, many diners were seated, mostly town residents and villagers who had come into town to run errands. They walked up to the counter. The waitress stared blankly at them. What would you like to order? 1 portion of braised pork, 1 portion of sweet and sour pork, 2 bowls of rice, Lin Wanqiu ordered. She and Zhao Yakin had agreed to share the dishes. Braised pork 1 yuan 50 fin, sweet and sour pork 1 yuan 20 fin, rice 20 fin a bowl. Total 3 yuan 10 fin, 2 jin of grain coupons. The waitress quoted the price and eyed them curiously. Most educated youths scrimped and saved, rarely ordering expensive meat dishes here. Soon their food was ready, and they carried the plates back to their table. The braised pork glistened, layers of fat and lean meat infused with the sweet savor of soy sauce. The sweet and sour pork was golden and crisp, coated in glossy tangy sauce, incredibly appetizing. They picked up their chopsticks and shared the dishes. The bowls of rice were quickly emptied, and they even mixed the leftover sauce with rice to finish every last bit. It tastes amazing! Zhao Yakin patted her stomach and sighed contentedly. Better than the meals cooked by our family's cook back home. On their way out, Lin Wanqiu approached the counter. Comrade, do you have any steamed buns left? The waitress rolled her eyes. Only 7 left over from this morning. Take all of them if you want. 50 fin plus 3 liang of grain coupons. We'll take all 7, Lin Wanqiu said. Please wrap them separately, 3 in one packet, 3 in another, and the last one wrapped alone. So many requests, the waitress muttered, but she took oiled paper and packaged the buns as requested before handing them over with another sharp glance. Here you go. Lin Wanqiu took the parcels and ignored her attitude. She pulled Zhao Yakin outside. Why separate one bun on its own? Zhao Yakin asked curiously. That one is for Grandpa Zhou. Lin Wanqiu shook the small paper packet. He's watched over our belongings all afternoon. Besides, he knows we ate at the state-run restaurant. It would be impolite not to offer him something as thanks. Country folks understand these things. Small favors can buy you a lot of convenience. Zhao Yakin suddenly realized. You've thought of everything. Lin Wanqiu handed her 1 portion containing 3 steamed buns. These are yours. The other 3 are mine, to save for tomorrow. We don't have a working stove yet, we can't keep surviving on hardtack. Zhao Yakin quickly pulled out money and grain tickets to pay her, but Lin Wanqiu waved her hand. My treat this time. Next time, you have to buy me braised pork. It's a deal. Zhao Yakin smiled and carefully tucked the buns into her wicker basket. Wanqiu, if it weren't for you, I would have run into so many pitfalls out here in the countryside. We're both learning as we go. We'll look out for each other from now on, Lin Wanqiu said. By the way, we need to hold our kitchen knives in our hands when we ride the ox cart shortly. Zhao Yakin stared in surprise. Why carry knives? Isn't that dangerous? To guard against troublemakers, Lin Wanqiu lowered her voice. Look at our large bundles and all the supplies we bought. It's obvious we aren't short of money. Some village women like to take advantage of new young girls who are too embarrassed to speak up. They might try to rummage through our baskets. Holding knives will make them think twice. What if someone asks why we're carrying them? We'll say we're worried the sharp blades will cut our belongings if they jostle around inside the basket on the bumpy road. Everything we own cost good money, after all. Lin Wanchio shook the carbon steel knife in her hand. That explanation sounds perfectly reasonable. Zhao Yakin couldn't help giving her a thumbs up. You think so quickly on your feet. The two walked back to the ox cart, where the three women who had ridden with them that morning were already seated. The plump woman had sharp eyes and spotted the knives in their hands at once. Her expression shifted. She had thought these two refined city girls with all their luggage might be easy to pressure into handing over some goods. Seeing each of them gripping a gleaming kitchen knife, she immediately backed down. Well now, why are you girls clutching kitchen knives? That seems unsafe, the thin woman forced a smile, her tone probing. Following Lin Wanchio's instructions, Zhao Yakin replied, Auntie, the road is rough. The blades are sharp, and we were afraid they'd slice our things open inside the basket. Everything cost us money, so we have to be careful. The plump woman opened her mouth to say something more, but caught sight of the brightly polished knife Lin Wanchio held. The words died on her lips. The girl looked delicate, yet she held the knife steadily and met her gaze calmly, clearly not someone easy to bully. Lin Wanchio stepped forward and held out the separately wrapped steamed bun to Old Man Zhou. Uncle, thank you for watching our belongings all noon. Please have this bun. Old Man Zhou waved his hands. No need, it was nothing more than a small favor. Please take it. Lin Wanchio pressed the bun into his palm. We'll need you to carry our things to the entrance of the educated youth compound later. We can't manage all of it on our own. Well, I won't decline then. Warm steamed bun in his grasp, Old Man Zhou felt a surge of warmth. Rest assured, I'll get everything delivered right to the door and help you carry it inside. The ox cart trundled slowly toward the village. The three women did not speak another word, only stealing occasional wary glances at the knives the two girls held. Lin Wanchio and Zhao Yakin exchanged a look, both relieved. The trick had worked. The journey passed quietly, and soon the ox cart arrived at the educated youth compound. Old Man Zhou kept his word. He hauled the iron walk, bundles, and wicker baskets over to the backyard gate. Before leaving, he reminded them, if you ever need a ride into town, come find me. I'll save you a spot. Thank you, Uncle. The two thanked him and let out a long breath once the ox cart was out of sight, stowing their knives back into their baskets. We made it safely at last. Zhao Yakin wiped sweat from her palms. Those women's stares made my skin crawl. You'll get used to it, Lin Wanchio smiled. Life in the countryside means staying alert at all times. They had barely set down their belongings by the backyard gate when Wang Daju emerged from the east wing with two workmen, a trowel in his hand. He spotted the iron walk on the ground and brightened. Perfect timing. The king in this eastern room has just been finished, and we're about to build the stove. Lin Wanchio looked toward where he pointed. The door of the easternmost room stood open. The newly built earthen kang still bore the damp hue of fresh loam, its edge smoothly plastered, carrying the earthy scent of wet mud. Wang Daju grinned. Your room is the eastern one. We started construction here first. It'll be ready to sleep in after a few days to dry out. His gaze fell on the two large bundles. Are these yours? I'll have the workmen carry them inside for you. Thank you, Brother Wang. This one is mine, and that one belongs to Yakin. Lin Wanchio gestured at the bundles. Wang Daju told the workmen to move the bundles into the room, then pointed at a lopsided wooden bench in the yard corner. We left this bed here instead of taking it apart. The kang is still damp, so you can use it temporarily. We'll move it into your room when we finish work today. We appreciate your help. Lin Wanchio took a large iron wok and a smaller wok out of her basket and handed them over. Brother Wang, please build the stove to fit these two pots. Thank you for your trouble. Sure thing. Wang Daju passed the woks to the workmen. Once the stove is built, light fires regularly over the next few days to speed up the drying process. By the way, I suppose you don't have firewood yet? Villagers usually gather kindling on the eastern hillside. Stick to the outer areas. Don't venture deep into the woods, there are wild animals there. Everyone from the village only collects wood near the edge. Thank you for the warning, Brother Wang. I'll head over to collect some shortly, Lin Wanchio thanked him earnestly. No trouble. All the locals know this, you city girls wouldn't. Wang Daju waved and turned to direct the workmen building the stove. Meanwhile, Zhao Yakin hurried to the west wing and called Xin Jinian outside. Xin Jiqing, we bought a wok and a kitchen knife for you. They weren't easy to get hold of. Shinjinian stepped out and saw the iron cookware and knife set on the ground, delight flashing across his face. Thank you so much. These are really hard to purchase. Wanchio covered the cost for now, 7 yuan and 6 fen, plus 1.5 industrial coupons. You can settle up with her, Zhao Yakin nodded toward Lin Wanchio. Shinjinian quickly pulled money and tickets from his pocket, counted them out, and handed them to Lin Wanchio. I'm grateful you took the trouble to fetch these for me. It was nothing. Lin Wanchio accepted the money and tickets and put them away. Shinjinian picked up his large wok, small wok and kitchen knife carefully and carried them back to his room. Lin Wanchio handed the slightly dented thermos flask left over to Zhao Yakin. You use this first. I have a relative in town with good connections. I'll ask him to help me buy another one later. She remembered what she had seen in her past memories. Chungjixia had traveled to the modern world, where thermoses and many other scarce goods here were easy to obtain. She did not mention her special space to Zhao Yakin, only came up with a reasonable excuse. Zhao Yakin looked embarrassed. I can't take it, there's no need to be awkward. Lin Wanchio pressed the thermos into her hands. If I want hot water, I can come borrow some from you. You wouldn't turn me away, would you? Of course not. Zhao Yakin smiled and accepted it. Thank you. Come get hot water anytime you need. Work continued on Lin Wanchio's kang. Zhao Yakin tugged at her sleeve. Come sit in my room for a while. As soon as they stepped into Zhao Yakin's room, she pulled a white rabbit cream candy out of her basket. I'm going to fetch hot water from the mess hall. I gave Su Jiqing a white rabbit candy this morning, so I should offer the same now, otherwise we'll look stingy. Lin Wanchio nodded. Good thinking. Zhao Yakin soon returned carrying the thermos full of hot water and called out immediately, Wanchio, bring your enamel mug over. Lin Wanchio fetched her mug from her own room, assuming Zhao Yakin intended to pour hot water for her. Instead, Zhao Yakin rummaged in her luggage and pulled out a malted milk can printed with red peonies. She scooped 2 spoonfuls into the mug, added hot water, stirred it well, and held it out. Drink this. It's my way of thanking you. I couldn't possibly, Lin Wanchio hastened to decline. Don't be so formal with me. Zhao Yakin pushed the mug into her hands. You've taught me so much today and lent me your thermos. This malted milk is nothing. If not for you, those village women would have swindled all kinds of things from me. Her eyes grew damp. You're the only one who treats me sincerely here. I can't let you go out of your way for nothing. Lin Wanchio saw her genuine sincerity and warmed inside. She stopped refusing and sipped the warm malted milk. Sweet fragrance spread across her tongue, and warmth flowed down her throat into her chest. After finishing the drink, warmth lingered in her stomach. Lin Wanchio glanced outside, where the sun hung low over the hilltops. I need to collect firewood on the eastern hillside. Once the stove is ready, I have to heat the kind tonight to drive out the dampness. I'll come with you. Zhao Yakin stood up at once and grabbed her wicker basket. It's not safe going alone. My Kong will need firing once it's finished tomorrow too. They had just walked into the yard when Shinjinian came out of the west wing. He saw them carrying baskets and asked curiously, where are you two heading? To gather firewood on the eastern hill. The newly built kangs need heating to dry out, Zhao Yakin explained. Shinjinian nodded. I'll join you. It'll be good to stretch my legs. He hurried back into his room and emerged shortly with a thick length of rope originally used for bundling luggage. I don't have a basket, so I'll tie the wood up with this. The three walked together toward the eastern edge of the village. As they passed the cattle shed, Lin Wanchio suddenly froze. The cattle shed stood beneath an old locust tree at the village entrance. Its low adobe walls leaned crookedly. A pile of cow dung heaped by the door filled the air with a sharp stench. A middle-aged man in a heavily patched gray cotton jacket bent over shoveling cow dung slowly. His thin frame looked like a leaf ready to blow away in the wind. It was her father, Lin Zhengping. When she had left home, her father had worn neat Zhongshan suits with combed hair and worked as an engineer. Only a few months had passed, yet he had wasted away almost beyond recognition. A lump blocked Lin Wanchio's throat. Tears welled in her eyes, and her feet felt heavy as lead. Wanchio? What's wrong? Zhao Yakin noticed her strange state and followed her gaze toward the cattle shed. She only saw the man shoveling dung and gently tugged her arm. Let's keep going. We're new here. Lingering too long will make people gossip if the villagers see us. Lin Wanchio took a deep breath and forced herself to look away. She knew this was not the time to acknowledge him. Her father had been sent here to work under restriction, and his status made him vulnerable. If she approached openly, she would bring trouble to them both. She tightened her grip on the basket strap until her nails dug into her palm, using the sharp pain to calm her surging emotions. Right, let's go. The three quickened their pace past the cattle shed, none speaking another word. A cool wind swept across the hillside, rustling the weeds beside the path. Lin Wanchio's heart burned with a painful ache. Many dry branches littered the outer edge of the eastern hillside. Locals came here often, so all the thick, usable timber had already been picked clean, leaving only thin twigs and scrub brush. They split up to work. Lin Wanchio and Zhao Yakin cut tangled vines with sickles and stuffed dead branches into their baskets. Shen Jinyan gathered the collected firewood into piles and bound them tightly with rope. I didn't realize gathering firewood was so exhausting. Zhao Yakin wiped sweat from her forehead. Her basket was half full. It doesn't look big, but it gets heavy once filled. This should last 2 nights. Shen Jinyan patted his bundled wood. It's growing dark. We ought to head back. As they returned, the sun sank behind the western mountains and twilight spread like ink across the land. Passing the cattle shed again, Lin Wanchio glanced over. The spot beside the dung heap was empty, only the shovel leaning lonely against the wall. When they arrived back at the educated youth compound backyard, the workmen had finished for the day and left. Lin Wanchio walked to her room. The new stove had been completed. The black iron wok sat set into the earthen stove, with a smaller opening beside it for the little pot. A narrow passage connected the stove to the earthen kong inside the room. A rectangular stone slab covered the opening of the passage. It had been lifted open. Wang Dazhu had told her this allowed smoke to flow through and heat the king. When she did not need to warm the bed, she could lower the slab to block the heat. What a well-built stove. Zhao Yakin leaned forward to look. Wanchio, you can fire the king tonight. Yes, I'll test it out this evening. Lin Wanchio picked up a wooden bucket. I'm going to fetch 2 buckets of water. I can boil water to heat the king and wash up too. A hand pump well stood in the center of the yard. Lin Wanchio labored to pump 2 buckets of water and pour them into the large iron wok. She pulled several dry twigs from her basket, lit a match, and fed the flame into the stove pit. Flames crackled and licked the bottom of the wok, and steam soon curled upward from the water. The water will boil soon. Does anyone need hot water? Lin Wanchio called toward Zhao Yakin and Shen Jinyan's rooms. Yes, thank you, Lin Jiqing. Shen Jinyan came out first, carrying an enamel basin. Zhao Yakin also carried over her thermos. I want to soak my feet. I've walked so far today that my feet are sore. The two fetched their hot water and returned to their rooms, leaving the yard quiet. Once the water boiled, Lin Wanchio ladled some into a wooden basin. She washed her face in the steam, then mixed in cooler water to soak her ankles. The hot water washed away the weariness of the long day and soothed her turbulent thoughts. Night fell, and the lights in the educated youth compound went out one by one. Lin Wanchio lay on her bed listening to crickets chirping outside, unable to sleep. She quietly got up and packed her things by moonlight. She planned to visit her father at the cattle shed. This would be her first visit. She did not know who else stayed there, so she could not bring anything too conspicuous. She scooped roughly 5 jean of cornmeal from the sack in the corner into a cleaned cloth bag. From a parcel sent by her paternal aunt, she took a small packet of beef jerky, filling, easy to eat, and unlikely to attract attention. Finally, she grabbed a handful of fruit-hard candies and added them to the bag. Once ready, she slung the cloth sack over her shoulder, gently pushed open her door, and slipped out through the compound's back gate. She had noticed the path during the day. It led toward the hills and was unlikely to be seen by others. Cool night wind brushed her cheeks. Crickets chirped in the crop fields lining the trail. Lin Wanchio stepped softly, overcome with nervousness and urgency. She recalled what she had read in the book. The educated youth compound had been built close to the cattle shed. Rumor said the foul odor from animal manure was meant to ward off ill omens long ago. Now it conveniently let her sneak over to see her parents. The night path was silent. Only moonlight glinted on grass blades and her quiet footsteps broke the stillness. The trail wound through waist-high scrub. Twigs caught her clothing, and she carefully brushed them aside, afraid of making noise. The closer she drew to the cattle shed, the stronger the familiar dung smell grew. Where it had once struck her as revolting, now it tugged her forward like an invisible thread. The outline of the cattle shed emerged in the moonlight, crooked low adobe walls and a blackened thatched roof. Tattered paper covered the broken wooden windows, with holes torn through them. Faint lamplight flickered inside. Lin Wanxiu stopped a few steps from the door, her heart pounding wildly. She took a deep breath and tapped lightly on the wooden door with her knuckles, soft as wind-rustling leaves. Tap, tap, tap. The oil lamp inside flickered. A hoarse, wary voice she knew all too well spoke. "Who's there?" A lump caught in Lin Wanxiu's throat. Countless words rose to her lips, but all she managed was a tearful whisper. "Father, it's me, Wanxiu." The door creaked open a crack. Lin Jumping's face appeared in the lamplight, his eyes red-rimmed. He grabbed Lin Wanxiu's wrist, pulled her inside and shut the door rapidly, moving as fast as a gust of wind. "What were you thinking, coming here?" He spoke in a strained whisper, angry yet full of helpless concern. "Do you know how dangerous this place is? If the team leader catches you, I had to come." Lin Wanxiu stared at her father's gaunt cheeks. Tears spilled down her face. "I just needed to see you and mother." Lin Jumping was about to speak further when the curtain separating the inner room was pulled back. A frail figure leaned against the doorframe, her mother Meng Xiulan. She wore patched old clothes, her hair dry and yellow, her complexion sallow. When she saw Lin Wanxiu, her lips trembled and tears flooded her eyes at once. "Wanxiu, my Wanxiu mother." Lin Wanxiu could hold back no longer. She rushed forward and hugged her mother. The two clung together, shaking with sobs. Lin Jumping turned aside to wipe his eyes, his shoulders trembling. The inner room was cramped. It was little more than a small partition walled off with planks, so low that anyone tall would struggle to stand upright. A rickety wooden bed held a thin layer of straw, covered by a patched sheet and a tattered quilt. A low wooden stool stood against the wall, holding two chipped coarse porcelain bowls and a small clay stove with cold ashes inside. Looking at their surroundings, Lin Wanxiu felt a sharp pain pierce her heart. She remembered her old home, bright, tidy rooms. Her mother in a flowery dress, smiling gently. Her father in a crisp Zhongshan suit, confident and vigorous. Now she choked back tears. "Father, mother, how did you become so thin? Is life here terribly hard?" Meng Xiulan stroked her daughter's hair, tears falling continuously. "Silly child, we get by. But why have you come too? Country living is harsh. How will you endure it with your soft skin? You are my parents. How could I stay comfortably in town while you suffer here?" Lin Wanxiu wiped her tears, her tone firm. "We are family. We should stick together no matter how difficult things get." Lin Jumping sighed and patted her shoulder. "Well, you're here now. Let's not dwell on that. Try not to come often from now on. There are many eyes around here. If people find out you are our daughter, it will bring harm to you." He looked at his daughter gratefully. "Fortunately, you take after your maternal grandmother. Your features don't resemble ours. Otherwise, you might have been recognized the moment you stood outside the door." Lin Wanxiu nodded. "Father, I will be careful and know what to do." She slipped the cloth sack off her shoulder and set it on the wooden stool. "I brought some things, cornmeal, beef jerky, and candy. Have them to sustain yourselves." Meng Xiulan opened the sack and saw the cornmeal inside. Her eyes grew wet. "You struggle enough at the educated youth dormitory. Why bring food over? Take this back for yourself." "Mom, I have plenty." Lin Wanxiu held her mother's hand. After a moment's hesitation, she decided to reveal her secret. "The truth is, I have a way to take care of myself, and I can look after all of you too." "Mom, do you remember the black jade ring you gave me? I managed to unlock it." Meng Xiulan froze. "Unlocked it? What do you mean?" She had heard her mother talk about the ring when she was little. It had been passed down through the family, said to hold an extraordinary opportunity. Yet neither she, her mother, her grandmother, her great-grandmother, nor her great-great-grandmother had ever been able to activate it. She had always thought it was nothing more than an old legend and given it to her daughter merely for peace of mind. Lin Wanxiu clutched the ring and focused her thoughts. "Watch this." As soon as the words left her mouth, her figure vanished out of thin air, leaving only the empty room. Lin Jumping and Meng Xiulan were startled and stared at each other. They were just about to call out when Lin Wanxiu reappeared with a soft whoosh. This is." Meng Xiulan was too shocked to speak, pointing at her daughter, unable to regain her senses for a long time. Lin Jumping's eyes were also wide open, utterly stunned. "There's a space inside this ring." Lin Wanxiu handed the steamed bun to her mother and explained with a smile. "Inside are two doorways. One leads here, and the other leads to a place called the Modern Era. There's an abundance of grain, vegetables, meat, everything you can imagine there." Meng Xiulan stared at her daughter and murmured, "The old family legend, it's actually true." Lin Zhongfeng was a man who had weathered many storms and quickly composed himself. He pulled Lin Wanqiu down to sit and asked gravely, "Who else knows about this space besides you?" "No one, only the two of you," Lin Wanqiu said. "I understand every extra person who knows brings more danger. But you're my parents, and I trust you completely." "Silly child," Meng Xiaolan stroked her head, feeling both relieved and anxious. "This ability is a blessing, but you must never let anyone else find out. It will bring terrible disaster." "I know," Lin Wanqiu nodded. "That's why I've always been very careful. I only brought cornmeal today because bringing fine wheat flour would draw too much attention. Don't worry, Dad, Mom. The space can shelter people. If I ever run into real danger, I can hide inside." Lin Wanqiu smiled. "If you need anything in the future, just tell me, and I'll bring it over from the modern era." She had never actually traveled to the modern era herself, but in her dreams, she had watched Cheng Jixia bring all kinds of goods from there. She spoke optimistically to reassure her parents. Meng Xiaolan looked at her daughter, her gaze full of relief. "Good girl. Our ancestors have blessed you with such a great opportunity. Always stay cautious. Your own safety comes before everything else. Don't worry too much about us." Meng Xiaolan and Lin Zhongfeng kept reminding Lin Wanqiu to stay safe and shared tips for working in the fields. Lin Wanqiu listened earnestly. More than 40 minutes passed before Lin Wanqiu prepared to leave reluctantly. "I have to head back now, or someone might notice." Lin Zhongfeng walked her to the door and cracked it open. He cautiously scanned the outside to make sure no one was around, then whispered, "Be careful on the way. Come again in a few days next time. Don't visit too often." "All right." Lin Wanqiu nodded, took a long look at her parents, then disappeared into the night. When she returned to the educated youth compound, everything was quiet. Lin Wanqiu crept back to her room and lay down on the bed, yet sleep eluded her. Thinking about her parents, she felt a mixture of sorrow and calm. At the very least, they were safe, and she now possessed the means to help them. Daybreak was barely breaking when Lin Wanqiu woke up. Roosters crowed one after another outside, carrying the distinctive atmosphere of a rural morning. She got up quietly, washed herself by the faint morning light, and walked over to the stove. There were 2 steamed buns left from the ones she had bought in town the previous day. She poured water into the pot, placed a steaming rack inside, set the buns on top, and started a slow fire. Flames licked the bottom of the pot with soft crackling sounds. Steam soon curled upward, and the aroma of steamed buns filled the air. "It smells wonderful." Zhao Yakin rubbed her eyes and stepped out of her room. Spotting the buns on the stove, she walked over with a smile. "Wanqiu, you're up so early. I still have 2 buns here. Could you steam them for me too?" "Sure." Lin Wanqiu shifted things on the rack to make space. "Saves firewood that way." Zhao Yakin set her buns down and leaned against the doorframe to watch her. "What are you planning to do today?" "I heard from Educated Youth Show that new arrivals get 2 days to settle in and don't need to work in the fields. I'm going up the mountain to collect firewood and dig wild vegetables," Lin Wanqiu replied. "We need plenty of firewood for heating the Kang these days, so it's best to stock up. Spring Shepherd's purse tastes the freshest. I can dig some to cook." She did not mention her plan to test whether she could bring the wild vegetables to the markets in the modern era. The matter was far too strange, and she needed to explore it alone first. Once the buns were heated through, Lin Wanqiu took out 2 and handed one to Zhao Yakin. "Have it while it's hot." The steamed buns from the state-run restaurant were generously filled. The dough was soft and fluffy, and the meat filling was seasoned with ginger and scallions, juicy with every bite. Lin Wanqiu felt full after eating one. She glanced at the remaining bun and suddenly thought of the space's preservation ability. In her dreams, Cheng Jixia often stored leftover food there. She placed the bun in an empty bowl, told Zhao Yakin she could not finish it and would put it in her room, then returned to her chamber. Closing the door, she focused her mind, and the bowl vanished. Lin Wanqiu stepped back outside. "I'm finished eating," Zhao Yakin wiped her mouth. "You're heading to the mountain?" "I'll come with you. They're building the Kang in my room today, so there's nowhere to stay. It'll be nice to walk around." "I'd love the company," Lin Wanqiu smiled. "It's more fun together, and we can look out for each other." They each slung a wicker basket over their shoulders. Lin Wanqiu also grabbed a sturdy rope. She had seen Shen Jinyan use rope to bundle firewood the day before and thought it would be useful. As soon as they reached the gate, they spotted Wang Dazhu overseeing workers outside Zhao Yakin's room. When Wang Dazhu saw them, he waved with a grin. Zhao Yakin called out to him, "Brother Wang, Wanqiu and I are going for a walk up the mountain. Carry on with your work." Wang Dazhu waved his hand. Off you go. Stay safe, and don't wander deep into the hills. They followed the path they had taken the previous day toward the eastern hillside. Warm spring sunlight spilled over them. Green shoots sprouted on the grass beside the path, tiny unnamed flowers dotted the ground, and the air was filled with fresh herbal scent. What does shepherd's purse look like? Zhao Yakin looked curiously at the plants along the road. Back in the city, I only ever saw them bundled up at the market, never growing wild. Look here. Lin Wanqiu crouched down and pointed to a patch of low, growing wild greens with jagged leaves tinged faintly purple along the edges. This is shepherd's purse. The leaves are tender with white roots, and they have a clean, fresh scent. Pull them out whole when you dig, that way they're cleaner. She pulled a fruit knife out of her basket. She had brought it from home to cut fruit, and it worked perfectly for digging vegetables. Zhao Yakin copied her and knelt down. She carefully pulled one out and held it up to Lin Wanqiu. Is this it? That's right, Lin Wanqiu nodded. Pulling by hand takes effort. Take your time if you don't mind, and rest whenever you're tired. They split up to search the slope. Lin Wanqiu worked quickly. She slipped the knife just under the soil surface, pried up a whole shepherd's purse, shook off the dirt, and dropped it into her basket. When she had gathered quite a few, she waited until Zhao Yakin was not watching, hid behind her basket, and stowed part of the harvest into her space. She planned to use these to test the modern era, to see if she could trade them for money or ration coupons. Zhao Yakin pulled at the greens for a while until her fingers turned red. She walked over to Lin Wanqiu holding her pile. Wanqiu, check if these are all right. Lin Wanqiu sorted out several bitter greens mixed in and explained patiently. These have rounder leaves with far fewer jagged edges. They're bitter greens and taste unpleasant. Watch closely, shepherd's purse leaves are sharper with deeper serrations. I see. Digging wild vegetables really is a skill. Zhao Yakin stuck out her tongue and resumed searching, examining every plant more carefully. The sun climbed higher, and the hillside grew warmer. Zhao Yakin's hands ached from pulling weeds. She stood up and rubbed her lower back. I can't go on. My palms are almost raw. We have enough now, right? Lin Wanqiu glanced at her basket, which held about half a load of shepherd's purse, and nodded. That's plenty. We wouldn't be able to eat more. Her own basket still looked fuller than Zhao Yakin's. Even after putting half her harvest into the space, she had more left. We've dug so much shepherd's purse. What can we cook with it? Shepherd's purse dumplings taste best, Lin Wanqiu smiled. My mother used to take me digging this every spring when I was young. We'd mix it with pork filling and make a huge pot of dumplings, absolutely delicious. She sighed. It's a pity pork is hard to come by these days, and we don't have time to head into town. How about we go to the village chief's house and ask if anyone has eggs we can trade for? We could fry shepherd's purse with eggs at noon. Great idea. Zhao Yakin's eyes lit up. I've had that dish before, it's amazing. Let's do it. They stopped digging wild vegetables and started collecting firewood. Lin Wanqiu already knew the best spots from the day before. She picked dried dead branches and tied them firmly with rope. Zhao Yakin followed her example and gathered thinner twigs to bundle up. Once the firewood was secured, they emptied the wild vegetables from their baskets, filled them with firewood, and laid the shepherd's purse on top. Satisfied with their full loads, they headed back. When they arrived at the educated youth compound, Zhao Yakin's room looked completely different. The newly built earthen kang was finished, and a cooking stove had been set up by the door. The yellow clay looked solid and reassuring. Wang Dazhu and the workers had moved on to work outside Shinjinian's room, where the sound of hammering rang out again. My kong is done. Zhao Yakin ran over excitedly to look. Brother Wang does reliable work. Lin Wanqiu set her basket down. Let's put our things away first, then go trade for eggs. Let's go. Zhao Yakin agreed readily. They had barely reached the gate when they spotted village chief's wife Ho-Hot washing clothes in the yard, with her two small children chasing each other nearby. Aunt Ho-Hot. Zhao Yakin greeted her cheerfully. Ho-Hot looked up. Seeing the two young women, she wiped her hands on her apron and hurried over warmly. It's educated youth Lin and educated youth Zhao. Are you looking for the village chief? He's out working in the fields. Come inside and wait if you like. We're not here for the chief, we came to see you. Zhao Yakin explained their purpose. We dug some shepherd's purse and hope to trade for eggs. Do you have any at home? I certainly do. Ho-Hot grinned widely. I've just collected a basketful. I was planning to take them to the purchasing station. How many do you want? She led them into the main room, walked into the inner chamber, and carried out a wicker basket holding more than 30 smooth, glossy eggs. The purchasing station pays 6 cents apiece, Hohat said. I'll charge you the same price. We can't let you lose out, Lin Wanxiu quickly shook her head. Eggs cost 7 cents each at the supply and marketing cooperative, and you need coupons for them. We'll pay 8 cents each. Hohat tried to decline, but seeing they were insistent, she agreed. I won't argue then. How many would you like? 15 each for us, Lin Wanxiu said. Hohat counted out the eggs and packed them into the cloth bags the young women had brought, chattering as she worked. Fried shepherd's purse with eggs is such a tasty dish. My husband loves it. You city girls know how to make do, gathering wild vegetables to supplement your meals. They paid her and carried the eggs back. Zhao Yakin could not help exclaiming, these eggs are so fresh, better looking than the ones at the cooperative. Aunt Hohat is an honest woman, Lin Wanxiu said. Let's cook at my place at noon. You can taste my cooking. Wonderful. Zhao Yakin laughed. I never cooked at home, so this is a perfect chance to learn. Back at the compound, Lin Wanxiu cleaned the shepherd's purse thoroughly and chopped it fine. Zhao Yakin cracked the eggs carefully, taking care not to drop any shell fragments into the bowl. Each of them contributed 2 eggs, making 4 in total. Lin Wanxiu whisked them and poured them into hot oil. There was a sizzle, and golden egg curds quickly formed. She scooped them out and set them aside. Next she fried the shepherd's purse in the pot, added a little salt, then mixed in the egg pieces. A wonderful savory aroma spread everywhere. It smells incredible. Zhao Yakin breathed in the scent. Lin Wanxiu mixed some cornmeal with water to make a batter, spread it around the edge of the pot to make flat corn cakes, and covered the pot to simmer. When the cakes were ready, they were golden with crispy edges, perfect to go with the shepherd's purse and eggs. They were standing by the stove about to eat when Xin Jinyan came back. He glanced at the food in the pot, and his Adam's apple bobbed. He had only been eating dry rations for days and longed for a proper hot meal. Could I trade something for a share? Xin Jinyan asked awkwardly. I have chocolate. I'd like some of your food. Zhao Yakin glanced at Lin Wanxiu. When Lin Wanxiu nodded, she smiled. Of course. Fetch a bowl. Xin Jinyan's face lit up. He hurried to his room and returned with a metal lunchbox and 4 pieces of chocolate, handing them over. These are for you. I still haven't thanked you for helping me buy the pot the other day. That's too much, Lin Wanxiu tried to refuse. It's fine, Xin Jinyan waved his hand. Your food smells amazing, and I still owe you thanks for the pot. Lin Wanxiu spooned most of the shepherd's purse and eggs into his lunchbox and added 2 corn cakes. Is this enough? Ask if you need more. More than enough, thank you. Xin Jinyan clutched his lunchbox and smiled gratefully before heading back to his room. He knew it would be inappropriate to eat alongside the 2 female educated youths. Lin Wanxiu and Zhao Yakin stood beside the stove and enjoyed their meal in the morning light. The fresh flavor of shepherd's purse blended with rich egg, and the corn cakes carried a subtle natural sweetness. They had no table and ate standing up, yet everything tasted delicious. I never imagined life in the countryside could have such nice meals, Zhao Yakin sighed contentedly. Maybe living here as an educated youth won't be so tough after all.